put it your questions, etc., in the Q&A box. But if you do have any comments, put it in the normal chat, and that will be picked up by one of the team. So tonight is For the Love of Self. We are talking about your mind, your body, and soul, but how that is all related to food as well. All right. So we're trying to start 2023 on a good health tip. So let's get this show on the road. Quick question though, and Jamie, you're gonna have to let me know what's going on in chat, or Chef Kevin, you're gonna have to let me know. How many of you so far have not met your resolutions so far? Oh God, maybe let's twist this question around, shall we? Let's do it the positive way. How many of you have kept your resolutions so far? Put a 1 in the chat if you have kept your resolution so far.
Beverly, Kaz, Ian, blessings. 1 from Lauren, Celia, Brian, Helen.
And what were some of those resolutions, people? Was it to eat well? Was it to exercise? Was it not to watch EastEnders? What was it? What were some of those resolutions? Let me see. I might need to pick a few up. What were some of those? I know some of you said that you didn't have any. And to be honest, I kind of see your point there because I don't have any. But of course, we are starting a new year and we are trying to galvanize everybody into this team to push forward and do better for ourselves and for each other. So today we are going to start off. Anybody commented on what they actually are doing there, Kev? Can't see.
Not really. I don't make. Most of the people saying they don't make resolutions.
Oh wow!
And most people are saying, I see a couple of. I'll start next week. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Typical. All right. So as you can see on screen, I'm going to introduce. No, we're not going to play around today with time. We're going to try and push through and keep to time. So we're going to start with a brother called Charles Ankra, who's about to come and speak with you. He is the director of the health industry's multi-award winning Ankra Limited. They supply the highest quality natural food supplements, and he is driven and has a passion and has studied and trained on the latest technologies for supporting wellness, and now runs the Herbal Tech Clinic, of which clients are amazed with the results and the support that they receive to meet, I guess, some of their resolutions and beyond that. So Charles is also a public speaker and says, I don't just talk, I provide evidence of my results.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that. Charles, are you there?
Greetings, family, greetings.
Hey.
Greetings.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Charles. I hope you're well. How are you? How's the week going?
Well, it's been a good week, a very busy start for the year. You know, there's so much going on and there's so many people not doing their best, not in the best of health. So It's been a busy time to me. I can see that this year it's going to be another year full of challenges, but I'm always up for the challenge, as you're all going to find out during my presentation. And I'm here to help as many as possible on a global aspect to improve their lifestyles.
Lovely. So I've stopped sharing my screen, King. I'm not sure if you need to share.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to try and share my screen.
We will get you started.
Right, so let me see here. Host, disabled participant, screen sharing. Okay. Right. Is my screen being shared?
I can't see it yet, King.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh boy, this is my fault. Hold on 1 second. Good. Let's try again. Go ahead, sir. I think that should be.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I think you've got my screen. Okay, am I sharing screen now?
No, I still can't see anything on my end, but you can definitely share. So I'm not
Yeah,
too sure.
hold on. Let's click it.
Carol, is that a yes? Can you see something? Here we are. Yes, I can see it now, King. You are good.
Okay, you can see me now.
Can see you now. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, 1 second. Okay, well, I'm Charles. You know, some people call me the real King Charles. That's how they remember my name. But I've got the smallest ears you've ever seen. And that one with the big ears, he's an imposter. You're now in tune with the real King Charles. Now, there was a time in my life when I was going through ailments and went down to the doctors, and the doctor gave me his prescription for medication. I took the medication, all was well, happy days again. Only for 2 months later, the problem comes back. So back down to the doctors, he gives me the same prescription. I'm happy, went away with the prescription, use it as prescribed, only to find out that 1.5 years later, I'm still going back and forth to the doctors. And by this point, I've tried many prescriptions. Situation's just getting worse. So the doctor says, don't worry, young man, I'm going to send you to a specialist. So I'm going to a specialist, excellent, because the doctor can't solve it, the specialist will. So I'm down at the specialist for a year, to and from at the specialist almost every week, problems getting worse. After a year, the specialist looks at me and says, young man, I'm afraid that you're going to have to accept that you'll have this condition for life. Now, let's see some ones in the chat. If you have been told you've got a condition for life, or you know of someone that's being told they've got a condition for life. Let's see some ones in the chat. Just make sure you're all hearing me loud and clear. Now, when I was told I had this condition for life, I was devastated. You know, I was just not in good stead at all. I didn't know what to do. A friend of mine said to me, there's an herbalist that's, you know, just arrived in the country. Why don't you just see if you can get to see them? I had nothing to lose. So I went and saw this herbalist, and the herbalist told me, look, follow the instructions, gave me some instructions. I followed what he said. In 2 days, it's like, hold on, there's a bit of a change. In 1 month, I was cured. And in being cured in that 1 month, that's when this light bulb moment came. This is where I really had a deep meditation and realized what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to improve people's lifestyles and support people that was in the same position like myself, being told there's a condition for life. And in doing so, I traveled, you know, for 2 years doing research, was looking into a product at that time called Moringa. And after 2 years, I found a high quality Moringa, because I realized it was going to take a high quality to provide the benefits with what you'd read about in your research, because not all Moringas are the same. So I endeavored to get the highest quality, which I eventually found, and that was the birth of Ankara supplements. You know, so we're an innovative health and nutrition company, and we only supply the highest quality food supplements. And we realize that nutrition is essential for the body, day-to-day life of the body. You know, it's essential that you can function at your optimal, that you've got the right nutrition in the body. So we've been established since 2010, you know, and a small team that's all passionate about health. Right. Also, at that point when we started Ankara, I also realized that there was a rise of GMO produce. And this rise of GMO produce was, you know, looking into it, you know, people start eating GMO foods, their body's going to be malnourished. So there's going to be a lot of health issues going on. And we realized that we needed to provide high quality supplements in a way to assist people that was not getting the nutrition the body needs. Right. So, right. So Ankara has been won multiple health industry awards. In 2013, we were awarded the best new product, and this was at the Natural Lifestyle Product Awards. In 2014, we were Prospects London Business Award finalists. Also in 2014, we were commended Best Supplements. And this again was at the Natural Lifestyle Product Awards, which was, you know, a major coup for us because we rose above many multinational companies that had branches all over Europe to become highly commended Best Supplement. 2015, we got the Best Sports Nutrition Supplement Award at the Health Food Business Awards. So this was, again, an amazing achievement. Best new sports product. Also 2015, we produced our first European champion in sports looking after the nutrition and injuries to a certain sportsman, which at some other point we'll go further into. Okay, now we're also endorsed by a former Olympic gold medalist and former London 2012 Olympic Games ambassador and the recent Commonwealth Games last year in Birmingham. So let's hear what they had to say.
I first met the Ankara team in 2010, and I was blown away about what I'd heard about moringa supplements and the high quality and standard in how it could benefit professional athletes as we tried the product, and I've never ever looked back. The Ankara moringa supplements is what is described by the health and fitness industry as the best kept health secret in daily supplements. Now, over the years, I've observed and worked with Ankara, and I've seen them become part of many international events and winning many awards within the health industry for their professionalism and their products.
So there you go. That's Tessa Sanderson looking well. And, you know, she's up to today still taking the Ankara products, and we've also helped many other athletes at her academy. So I don't like to just talk, I like to provide the evidence of what Ankara is doing. Now, why is it important for nutrition? Well, nutrition is important for your organ function, healthy cells, exercise energy, and also exercise recovery, to recover from your exercise. More important for your immune system. So I want to be sure that you're all hearing me. So let's put some more wealth. Right, so we have a range of natural supplement products, and there are 3 rules to the Ankara products. The first rule is that it has to be 100% natural. The second rule is there can be no adverse effects. The third rule is clients must see visible results. If it fails any of those, yeah, it can't be an Ankara product. So we haven't got long, and there's so much that I want to give you. So maybe another time I can go into, but we have products like what you can see on my screen, Sharpen the Brain. You know, I'm not going to talk too much about it. Another time I can go into depth behind it, but I think you should hear what the clients have to say, because that's more important. So as you heard me say, I wanted to be able to assist and help other people improve their lifestyles. So listen up.
Receive from using Ankara supplements. Experience more vitality, more energy, clearer skin initially. The main benefits I found was when I went to see my endocrinologist earlier in the month, and he was very impressed with my results, because one of the issues I was having was since the brain tumor operation was a lack of growth hormone in my body. Now, as adults, you don't really need it because the body's fully developed and everything, but you still need it for vitality and I suppose muscle growth. And he was really impressed. He said it became normal. And this has been an ongoing problem for me for 10 years. So he said if I went to see Professor Barts, where I've been before, he said they would just decline me because now it was within the normal range. And I was really shocked because it just came out of the blue, and the only thing I could put it down to was taking the Anchor products, because I was taking all three, as I said, moringa tablets, red algae, and sharpen the brain. There's a strong likelihood, because I had a brain condition, that it's more than likely going to be sharp in the brain.
When did you start using Anchor supplements?
7 or 8 weeks ago. Yes.
So there you go. So this young man had been, going to the professor at Barb's, neurocologist for 10 years. And he said 7 or 8 weeks with the Anchor supplements. And that's the results that he's saying he's got. Now, we have products, again, like red algae. I haven't got the time to go into deep depth of the red algae, but I'll let you hear what the clients are saying. I think that's more important.
Over the years, Anchor Limited have received many amazing reviews from our customers. I would like to share a few with you.
C. Morris, amazing health and skin transformations, miraculous moringa. My jobs as a head chef and personal trainer, as well as being a mum, have me on my feet and running around non-stop all day. I used to get extremely drained and run down, always breaking out in cold sores, catching colds, getting constant pains in my joints, and having zero energy by the evenings. I would rely on energy drinks and caffeine to get me through certain days of the week, but with the moringa powder tablets and the seeds, my energy levels are always up. I've had 3 small colds in 2 years, and they annoyingly broke out in the months I wasn't really taking any moringa. My skin and complexion are 100 times better than they were, thanks to the moringa oil. That's amazing stuff. The red algae has completely gotten rid of my joint pains and muscle tension. I really couldn't do without these products. I'm truly grateful that the moringa exists, and even more thankful to Anchor for making these products available.
So again, it's always the best news that when you're supplying a service that clients are happy. So that's a 5-star Trustpilot review that came on our website. And this is our moringa oil, which you've heard them talking about. Also we'll have to go through those in another Zoom, but we've got artery cleansers, which at some point I'll go into more depth about because time is short tonight. We also have the 7 steps to renewing your lifestyle, which I'll have to go through in another presentation. But we've got a herbal tech clinic also, which is sponsored by Anchor. But this, ladies, the Anchor J-Live gel, we're getting some amazing feedback with this J-Live gel. And there isn't much time to go into great detail. Your health is your responsibility. I haven't got time to go into this. This is the doctor in Trinidad, but that's, we have products for men. But this lady here, is a client of ours. And she gave some amazing feedback of what she found with the J-Lab gel. So let's hear what she had to say.
Hi, what's your name?
Tashai.
I'm Tashai, and you've got some news for me about the J-Lab gel.
So I've been using the J-Lab gel for about 2 years now. It's an amazing product. I was using it on brush. I was using canister, which was very good. So this has been excellent. It's a natural product, so it's great. On the flip side of that, I've been recommending it to quite a few friends, especially a friend in Jamaica. She had a wound taken out after her last child. She's getting a lot of odds, discharge, and everything. So since she's been using this and I sent it to her, no discharge, no pain, no nothing. Everything's built up. So it's an excellent product. So go out there and use it.
So it's tried, tested, and
Right,
tried.
tested, tried. It's internationally tested. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Tell me something. When you first started using it, how long did it take for you to realize, the benefits of this product?
I would say 3 months.
Okay.
I found that it's actually something happening. My friends, I think it took about a month to notice the difference.
Okay. So that's different.
Different.
Every individual.
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your feedback and coming and letting us know how you've been getting on with the product.
Yeah.
Usually we ask, would you recommend it to others?
100%. Go and buy this.
Okay, so it does what it's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, time is short, and I'd really love to go into more depth about the JLab gel, but I'm just gonna be letting you hear what clients are saying. So hernias. I one stage had a hernia, and went to the hospital. They gave me a 12-week waiting list. They wanted to put a bit of mesh in me and 2 stitches. I wasn't feeling it, and I healed it myself. I've also now managed to support this young man. Hear what he had to say. Of course, we're not giving medical advice here.
My name is Gary Walker.
What was wrong with you?
I had a hernia.
What was your symptoms?
The symptoms was there seemed to be something protruding from my stomach. So for me, it felt like I could describe it. It felt like there's some type of alien trying to escape from my upper abdomen area.
How did you hear about the herbal tech clinic?
I've known about the clinic for many years, but then my missus actually went to the clinic at one point.
Have you been on the protocol from the clinic?
Now I've probably been on a protocol for about just under 3 months now.
What's the difference now compared to before when you went to the clinic?
I think there's a big difference. But prior to that, this hernia was threatening me at every move. So if I sneezed, I felt like it's going to pop out. I always have to handle my stomach to stop it happening. Sometimes you have to twist it wrong, it pop out. Then anything seemed like it's going to pop out. Now it seems to be a lot more stable. I haven't tested it to its fullest capacity, which I don't want to do, because obviously it's healing. Why would I want to try and test it? So, but generally I can see there's a big improvement.
Would you recommend anyone to the clinic?
I would recommend everyone to the clinic, because I wouldn't recommend you go anywhere else in terms of, your so-called local doctors. Yeah? This is where I would recommend you go. Because obviously, going to the doctor, generally I would have said go to your doctor just for a diagnosis, which may be still the case, but at the same time, you can go to the herbal tech clinic and they give you a comprehensive diagnosis.
Okay, so that's another happy client. Frequency. How long have I got? Have I got much time?
You haven't got much time, King. I do have a couple of questions though for you, so I'm not sure if you
Okay,
give you a minute or so to wrap up, and then I ask you a couple of questions.
Okay, all right. So this is me at Nicholas Tesla's museum. This is me on scalar technology, but also there's some cancer secrets that I want to reveal tonight. So listen up to this young man who's had 385 tumors removed from his body. He was told in 2012 he had 6 months to live. He's still alive and kicking now. Listen to this.
It's been the hardest one, man. It's been the worst tumor.
The worst tumor would be the one on my spine, because I did have cancer between my scalp and my skull.
Look at the tumor on his head.
That, to me, it doesn't even compare to, having a 2-pound tumor on your spine. That was malignant, like the tumor in my head.
Now, I'd love to go deeper into this man here, because he got in contact with Ankara, you know, and we were able to support him in certain ways. And, you know, I like to produce the evidence, and there's so much more, but it'll have to be another Zoom where I come on and go into greater depth because time is short. I need at least 45 minutes to an hour to really, you know, you'll leave with a belly full. But, you know, here he is with Charles, and he's not only still alive and bedridden, he's a beast in the gym. There's professional athletes that can't do what this man does in the gym. So remember, also, I'd like to leave you with one saying: you are what you eat, and the food you consume is essential to the outcome of your lifestyle. You know, so again, we do consultations. You can get in contact, you know, and you know, here is contact details on the screen. And if there's any questions, I'm ready.
Amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, there are a few questions, and actually I wanted to go back because you kind of skipped over something maybe about 10 minutes ago now about the 7 principles. Is there any chance you can give me a condensed, quick, this is the 7, so I can jot those down now because I've got my pen ready.
Okay, so the 7 principles. Like, one of the principles is, you know, keeping the body cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another principle is the mindset. The mindset is very important and could turn out to be everything. Another principle is exercise. Another principle is the diet.
Lord God, you just mash up about 50% of us who haven't done our resolutions yet. Go on.
You know, there's nutrition again is an important factor, and it's not just any nutrition. You need to get supplements that are working on a cellular level, because there's many supplements out there that's not doing anything, because the nutrition in the supplement is not at a level that the body can utilize and absorb. And if it's at that state, it'll just be going right through you. And this is why over, you know, between 15 and 13 years, we've only had a handful of supplements because we're only interested in what works. And as I said, there's 3 rules to the supplements. Mm-hmm. They've got to be natural, no adverse effects, and clients have to see visible results. There's so much more that I'd like to go into more depth and explain the supplements a bit more, but I thought, you know what, let me share what the clients are saying, because I can be here and talk all night, but what matters to me is improving their lifestyles.
All right, so sir, I've got keep the body cleansed, I've got mindset, I've got exercise, diet, nutrition. I feel like I'm missing some. What were the others?
How many you got there?
Keep the body cleansed, mindset, exercise, diet, nutrition on a cellular level.
Right, now I've passed
7,
that.
right? I think I've got 4. What's the others?
4?
I think so.
No, that sounds like 5.
Okay, 5, all right.
All right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go back to the slide quickly. Right, so food awareness.
All right. Get
Yeah.
your phone.
And as I said, the food is almost, yeah. So the food is almost everything.
Okay. So we did have 2 questions, and I'm not too sure exactly how much you may want to answer some of these or not, but I had one person ask where you source your moringa from.
Okay, from one particular farmer in Africa. Well, it depends on what moringa you're talking about, because for us to get the quality products, we couldn't just get from one farmer, because this farmer he may have good moringa powder, but the oil isn't at the standard we need. So we're off to another country. So we're working in about 3 different countries in Africa. Yeah, one we get the powder from, One we get the oil from, another one we get the seed from. We only go to where the best of the best is because we realize that it needs to be the best of the best for you to get results. And, you know, at another point in another presentation, I can show you this where we have sportsmen who are injured in the middle of competing, and because of the knowledge of the products, we're able to get them back on their feet and turn them into European champions. And of this, of course, I've got the evidence, but no time to play it.
You had 20 minutes, and actually we've extended it. You had half an hour.
I need 45 minutes to an hour.
All right, we're gonna reschedule. Actually, put it in the chat, guys. I want to see one to the chat if you'd like to see Charles come back and talk through all of these things. Light it up.
Yeah.
Light it up, and I will pass it on to Brother Andrew so we can get this.
I feel as if I've just glided through. It's like you've got Usain Bolt in his peak. You've got him in a stadium where nobody knows him on the 100-meter line, and you tell him he's got 3 seconds to show what he can do. They're not going to even see him get to his peak. So I've just been just glazing through, giving the viewers an idea of what I'm about. You know, so I didn't hear what you said there.
I said you were just giving your little elevator pitch. That's enough. That's the time. That's what you were given the time for, right? Today, you have to give you extended time next time outside of the elevator. All right, so sir, we're going to wrap up here, but I just want one thing from you, please. If you could give, and obviously we've been putting your things in the chat, so please, people, have a look on his website. There's a telephone, there's an email address. Contact this brother if you'd like more information on your specific ailments or things that you are suffering with, or things that you are having challenges with. I'm sure he'll be happy to help. But if there is any one thing that you would ask everybody to do from today that will help, what one piece of advice would you give?
Right, because of the current climate and where we're at nowadays and what's going on in the world, keep your immune system strong. Yeah, and remember, you are what you eat, and your food contributes to your thoughts. This is why they've got a saying, I'll give you some food for thought. So, I mean, get in contact. You know, I'm here to help and help as many as I possibly can to achieve that healthy lifestyle, functioning at your optimum. You know, and it's taken me years to work out how things are done, but I'm here, I've arrived.
Amazing. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you. I will let Andrew know that lots of people would like you to come back, and so hopefully you can get your keynote time to come in and tell us all of the brilliant things that you are doing. But thank you so much for working with our community.
Yeah.
Do
I would
value
love
you.
that, because there is so much more to share.
Clearly, you've got, from what I've seen, you are working wonders out there. So thank you so much, because actually it's nice to know that when people, or doctors, so-called doctors, do say all of these things, that actually they don't know everything, especially not for us and people of color. So thank you so much. We will move on then. So if you could please unshare your screen and we can move on with the show. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, Chef Kev, I think we are ready to skedaddle on. Let me get my screen back up. And okay. All right, I think we've got this show on the road. Can you guys see? This is working. I assume this is working. All right, so tonight, as you all know, we are having Chef Kev talk to us a little bit about food, because of course, what does he know lots and lots about but gorgeous, tasty, delicious food, right? So we've all been to to the events. I'm sure most of you have been to the Weekenders now. You've had some of Chef Kev's food. You know, I've packed my little Tupperware box in my in my dress bag to bring some food home. So today he is going to be talking through some of the things that we can do to keep our health up for this year, right? So just a little bit of info about Chef Kev. If you didn't know this before, he's obviously one of the Hidden Truth team, so that already makes him amazing. But he has had over 35 years in the cuisine industry. Lux, uncle, you're not that old.
I know.
35 years in the cuisine industry, top chef in the most prestigious locations such as Mayfair, Private Members Club, the Langham Hilton, Director Chef, BBC Head Office, Manager Award winning restaurants, Pamela, done after party food for Boys in the Hood. He was ran a kitchen with alongside Malcolm X, former private chef. What? That's cool. That is cool. You won a Heat on Iron Chef UK, head chef in Canada, and now you're in the classroom with our children, teaching them about food and running workshops. And you also are an owner of New Initiative Catering, an events and catering company. So I'm going to pass you guys over to my favorite chef to tell us a little bit about what we should be focusing on for 2023.
Wicked. I love that intro. Thank you, Sister Jarita. And thank you to Brother Charles. That was a beautiful presentation and lots of food for thought. And a lot of us will say, in regards to going to the doctors, it's never really a good experience. And I will even have to say that myself. Before I even start, I will say, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor. I'm more of a foodie. And as always, there's always a story to tell when you have a journey you're on. And sometimes it's good to share certain aspects. Now, one of the things I've had is 2 hip surgeries. And I had that from when I had arthritis in my hip from I was around 29 years old. But I'll go into that a little bit later, but I'm going to go into some of the history. So what do I start? Where do I start?
At the beginning. At the beginning.
I grew up in East London. So the reason why I know Brother Andrew, we both used to go to the same college. And both of us used to live in the common room, so to speak, table tennis, and just messing around. Now, I had talent, but in terms of the way I was using my talent wasn't necessarily the best. And even though I was on a 2-year catering course, I got kicked out after the first year because of my behavior and my attitude. And the parting words from my lecturer, as many of us have heard before, he said I was either going to end up sweeping the streets or in prison. That was my head chef at college, or the head of catering at college, his parting words. And in reality, if I'd carried on down that direction, I could have gone down that way. My dad used to call me drunk already, because whatever time you saw me was drunk already. And so there's aspects to me where you see me now, but if I didn't take a certain direction, that was where I was going. And a lot of the time we take the alcohol as an escape from real life. And so I didn't drink the local Fosters. I was drinking Special Brew and Tennent's. Those were my 2 main beer I drank. And most of the time I would have black coffee, 3/4 full, and the other quarter would be white rum. And that was my morning, noon, and afternoon drink. So that's how I kind of started off. So hopefully that gives you a little picture. Then how to live. Now, one of the things which changed my life is a book called How to Live, and it's by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it just gave a different perspective on diet and eating and times of eating. As Brother Charles was saying, one of the key things we got to appreciate, you are what you eat. And when you go into catering, there's certain aspects, especially as a Black person, we don't really relate to. I'll give you the best example. You see now when they do steak and they say you're supposed to have your steak and you see the blood drip from the plate. No, sir, I did business. Even before teaching, before consciousness, I knew I was not eating my steak with blood coming out of it. That was not me. That seemed like some kind of cannibalism to, sorry, I'm getting carried away. So I would never go down that direction. I just said, if I'm having steak, I want my food well cooked. And that was me in terms of steak and things like that. So there's certain aspects in the catering industry which we would look at and we would think, boy, I don't think I can do that. And those days when you're starting out, when I started off, I was eating everything. But then as you grow and you learn, you kind of learn what to do and how to eat and to change your diet. Now, one of the key aspects we've got to look at is black as a color. And we as black people, based on our melanin, a lot of things which don't affect other people will affect us more. That's why when it comes to things like coal and oil, they're sources of energy and they are dark jet black. The best sugar you're going to have is called molasses. It's dark black because it's unrefined, and that's a better way for you. So when certain things are put into our system, it will have more of an effect on us than it would have on others. Does that make sense? Put some ones if I'm making sense so far. Put some ones so I know I'm on the right track. Yeah, man. All right, right. Yes. So what I'm going to do today is just share some of the aspects, some of the things I've learned over the time. And so I'm going to do it in 2 different stages. So I'm going through some of the who and why, the habits, the supplier of the food chain, the time, solutions, and the way forward. So one of the key things is we've always got to go is try and go on an aspect where we leave people with options. I remember certain talks I would go to or certain seminars, and by the end of it, it's like, wow, that just left me feeling doom and gloom. And one of the things we're not here to do is leave you with a doom and gloom perspective. We want to leave you with strong guidance and some answers to some of the questions. And one of the key things also, I've heard whereby sometimes, you go to talks and it's healthy eating, and then it's that kind of, if you don't do this, then you're going to die. No, we can't do that. It's all a matter of choice. We've got our own choices, but the choices we make will determine how healthy we live, how well we live, and it will determine how ill we're going to get. And so it's up to our choices. But one of the things I don't want to do is do this lecture where, oh, you've got to do this, no, you've got your choices. But then those choices will have an impact on how and the way we move forward. Does that make sense? So let's move on. Next slide, please, sister. So the brother said it, and Sister Dorita said it. New Year 2023. And lots of people like to start off by training to burn off the excess Christmas food, gym, jogging, and personal trainer. Now, we can do that, but then how many of us do it past February? So January, we kind of want to burn off the Christmas fat, but then by February, we've got that gym membership. And I know I've done it before where I've got this gym membership and I would use it. I think I can count on the one hand the times I use it in the course of a year. It's crazy, and you're just throwing money away. Now, why is it necessary? Because you've got to have some longevity. You've got to build up your immune system. Brother Charles has said it, your immune system. We just come out of so-called COVID. And then this Christmas or this last festive season, last few weeks, have you noticed about the illness they've been talking about? Everyone's going down, they're coughing, they're sputtering. I've had people in family have had it, and it's going around. And this is where we need to build up our immune system, because what they'll do, they'll be trying out certain things and they'll throw it into the airways, and then they'll see how it reacts and see how we deal with it. And this is the key time where we kind of start off and fresh. Now, growing up, I remember my mum used to kind of give you a washout once in a while. You have to have a washout. And you're thinking it felt like a punishment. But our parents were on the right track. We're in 2023 now. Growing up, a lot of the illnesses were not there, which are here now. So with technology and all the advancements and the technology, we should be living longer and more healthier. But there's now a new breed of disease, which is taking us out even more. So what's going wrong? What's happening? First and foremost, those things that our parents used to do, like the washout and things like that, that was like a detox. They knew you have to clean out your system and then get it ready for the next time. Usually, if I remember rightly, my mum used to do it more during the summer holidays. So before you went back to school, you had that washout, your Epsom salt. What's that one? Cinepod. You remember Cinepod? Oh my God. Them things.
I used to get milk with magnesia every weekend.
Yes. You had to have it. And you felt like it was torture. But you know, these were the things they knew about, which we needed to kind of get us through and to help us build up our immune system. So when it came to COVID and things like that, it weren't so much black people were catching it more because we were, oh gosh, we're so weak, we're catching all these illnesses. No, it was the total opposite of that. It was more based on we was in the front line. So our illnesses weren't so much we was catching illness because we just there. It was more because we was in the front line. But then if you recognize the people in the motherland and the Caribbean, it was a lot lower count than they expected. And they thought there was going to be a bloodbath. But then again, it based on climate. You got to look at where you are. You got to look at the surroundings and then look at the food available to you. So when it comes to New Year 2023, you've got to now be focused, and we've got to stick to these so-called resolutions. And I wouldn't say resolution, goals, aims for the year, targets, and then take it from there. So January is always a good time to start because it's like you've finished one year, you've gone into the new year, and then you're ready for the world. And 9 times out of 10 we broke. We spent our family money on Christmas, so we want to now do something whereby, boy, I would exercise in the gym because my money gone. So you kind of work off the energy like, boy, why am I spending so much money? It's a good time. So when it comes to the new year 2023, yes, start that. And you don't have to do the gym, the jogging, and the personal trainer. You can do other aspects. Walking. When you start walking, you get your heart rate up and you get the blood circulating around your body. These are the kind of things you can do. So you don't have to join the gym, just walk. Now, one of the things I started to do, I got myself a couple of years back, I got one of them Fitbit watches. It busts up now, but it got me into the right mood or the right frame of mind where I'd park up the car and I would walk places which I would normally drive to. And so that got me my walking in terms of into a routine, to a habit. Those kind of habits are good. So you don't have to join the gym. Walking is one of the best form of exercise, but I don't mean like a shuffle. I mean like a good brisk walk where you get your heart rate up. That is one of the best forms of exercise. Now, I only work in a school 3 days a week, but one of the things I see as a growing trend within a lot of the school boys, and I'm in a rich area where I work, not that I'm the area I work is in a nice area, and a lot of the boys are coming to school with fizzy drinks. Who's heard of Monster, Red Bull? They're coming on with energy. Their breakfast would consist of like a big old bag of Monster Munch washed down with Monster or Red Bull, and they love these energy drinks. And when you start seeing those kind of trends, those are the kind of trends where you're thinking, wow, if they carry on like that, they're going to be dying from a younger age, or they're going to get worse illnesses. Now, what it takes us 6 months to do, America takes 6 years. And you know, America, their diet and their problems and their issues is coming back over here, and it's happening over here faster. So if we start following American principles, that's what's going to happen to us. We're going to have all these illnesses which are linked to bad diet. Again, you are what you eat. Move on. Next slide, please, sister. Okay. Out of all those images, so the first one is Tesco's. If you know about Club Card, you'd know that. So the first image is Tesco's. I've got Aldi, I've got Waitrose, and I've got M&S, Marks and Spencer's. Now, out of all those supermarkets, and don't forget there's others, there's Sainsbury's, there's Morrison's, there's Asda, but I just put those there as a 4 to kind of choose from. Out of those, which one do you think you're going to get the most better class of ingredients from? Let's see in the chat. Can you have a look in the chat? Have a look in the chat. Where do you think you're going to get the better ingredients? Not the best quality, but the ingredients which are not going to be killing you off, are going to be a bit more vetted. Where do you think?
A lot of people saying Waitrose at this point.
Okay.
A couple of Aldis, but most have said Waitrose or M&S. M&S and Waitrose. A few
All right.
Aldi's, but
Okay.
M&S and Waitrose mostly.
Okay. So out of all those companies, Aldi and Lidl are both German companies. Germans have a higher standard where they will not allow certain ingredients in their foods. So when you get food from these places, even though it might be cheaper, the quality of the food, of the ingredients being used, will be higher than in the UK, because the UK have certain rules and regulations, whereas in Aldi with Germany, they've got certain stipulations where it's a bit higher. So the ingredients, the quality of the ingredients or the chemicals there, they won't allow certain things. Whereas over here, they do. And don't forget, when it comes to food, food comes under the Official Secrets Act. And that's why you have a lot of MPs lobbying in government to make sure certain bills are passed whereby they can put ingredients into certain foods and they don't have to tell you about it. You see a plan now? You see where I'm going? You see when you kind of know you are what you eat, and when you see people starting to wake up and you need to quieten them down, you have to look at what you're going to do. Now, if you've got a product, and this world is all about money. Don't be thinking now, oh boy, they gave us this vaccine and look how they've done it for free. Oh, millions of people, they kept it, and they gave you boosters and they gave you, nothing comes for free. Not in a capitalist world like the way we live in now. So one of the key things you've got to look at, how do you make your profit? Food needs to last longer on the shelves so it doesn't spoil. The longer it lasts on the shelf, the more you can make a profit because it lasts longer, people keep buying it, and it can stay there for a longer time, a period of time. But to make it last, what do they put in to help it last? You understand? So for the supply chain to work, they need their food to last a long time. So yes, Waitrose and M&S will give you a better quality of food in terms of certain standard, but in terms of ingredients, Aldi's up there because of the laws where they're coming from. So we got to now look at the ingredients. Who looks at the labels when they're buying their shopping? One of the key things in a lot of the foods is a product called MSG, monosodium glutamate. Who's heard of it? Who's heard of it? Okay. Now, it has no nutritional value. It's not a preservative. It's a flavor enhancer. So what they'll do on the labels, as people get wiser, they change around the way in which they word it on labels. And what I would like you to do, next time you go shopping, look at the crisp section and then look at the crisps which say no MSG. And then look at the crisps which do say. So it will either come under flavor enhancer. Sometimes they just say it straight away on monosodium glutamate and they know people don't business. Sometimes they'll have it as E621. Yeah, so E621, or they'll have it as flavor enhancer, MSG, or monosodium glutamate. Now, this is a chemical which is linked to Alzheimer's, dementia. A lot of illnesses are linked to this ingredient. And that's why certain products their selling point is we don't have it in our food. So certain crisps will say no MSG. Certain products will say no MSG. But they put it in a lot of foods, which I will go into more as we carry on. But what I'm trying to say to you is, when you're doing your shopping, you've got to be resolute and look at the labels. Now, if people are buying from the biggest supermarket in the country, which is usually Tesco's, then you've got to be mindful of what you're buying. But all food is going to have a level of poison the way this world is now. But then that's whereby you've got to have certain contingency to balance it out. Am I making sense so far? Are you with me? Are we there?
120%. 120%.
All right. So I was saying about the MSG. The other product where you're going to see a big difference in is if you see soft drinks now, they don't just put sugar, they'll put sugar and sweetener. Why would you need to put sugar and a sweetener in a drink? If you've got sugar, you don't need a sweetener because sugar is the sweetener. So why are you putting both in the drink? So it'll have sugar and artificial sweetener, and they don't even pretend, they tell you exactly what you're getting. Now, what that does is the sweetener there to get you hooked. The sweetener is there to get you hooked. The same as MSG. So the MSG is one of the foods they've put in a lot of the fast foods to make sure you are hooked, because you know, no matter how much people know about junk food and their effects, people still flock to these places. How does the MSG look? It's a white powder. You see in the Caribbean, I see in the Indian shops on the Caribbean section, they'll have MSG powder. It's in a bag, and it literally, it looks like, it might as well look like crack cocaine, because it's a white powder. Not that I've don't watch me, I don't trouble them things, but I'm just saying to you, that's the look of it. And when you put it in the food, it lifts the flavor, but at what cost? How do we contingency do that? When you've got a food processor, you have some scallion. If I say scallion, let me see you know, when we say scallion, what am I talking about? If I say scallion, what am I talking about? I'm looking in the chat, spring onion. All right, Janet, Kaz, yes, all right. We see you know. You know, when I say scallion, spring onion, garlic, fresh thyme, ginger, pimento. Who know about pimento? When I say pimento, what is it? What shape is it? It's a pepper, all right. Round, okay, all right. We just check circle, round, right, yeah. So pimento, onions and garlic. So when you got a blender, you can blend up your own little seasoning mix. And what that does, you got all these flavors. You can kind of put a little bit of oil to kind of loosen up a little piece, but then that's your seasoning. That's your all-purpose. That's your all-round seasoning. But what happens is, a lot of the time, we're looking for the convenience. We're looking for something which is quick. So we don't do the blending, we do the adding. And so that's the problem. Go back, please, sis. I'm going to come to that one next. Thank you. So when you've got all these chemicals in the food, which can deal with how you think, because one of the key things I notice, if I have some food and it's got MSG in it, I get a headache straight away. So that's a warning that something's in your system which is telling you something's not right. Now, when we get a headache, what's the first thing you normally reach for? What you reach for? Paracetamol. So you reach for this tablet to stop the signal telling you you've got a headache. But the headache is a warning from your body that something you put in the body is not right, or there's something not right in your body. So the tablets cuts out the signal, but the reason why the headache is there has not been stopped. The tablet just stops the pain, but it doesn't tell you. And this is where we go wrong. Your body give you certain warning signs. And so what happens is your body will, if you get a headache every time you drink a certain type of food or eat, you got to look at when you get headaches. You got to look. I'm not talking about when you've been drinking all night and then you come home next morning, oh, I've got a headache. No, I'm talking about if you get a headache only at certain times, when you've been certain places, or when you eat certain foods or drink certain drinks, then you know there's a cause and effect. So the tablet stops the signal, but it doesn't tell you the root of why you're getting that headache. So what you have to do is look and use your body as a barometer in terms of, I got to stop this. I can't be having this. I've got to stop. And then that way you become your own doctor. That way you become your own nutritionist, but not in no spooky way, but in a real way. So when it comes to the food, look on the labels. Why they put in sweetener and sugar in all the soft drinks? You'll see it in the squashes. You'll see it in the fizzy drinks. You'll see in a lot of the drinks where they'll put sugar and sweetener because they want to get you hooked. And if they get you hooked, you're going to buy that product for more and more. And what you'll notice is you'll get the bigger size for cheaper price. You can get like a 2 litre for £1.50. It should be like £3 for that. But they know if they get you hooked, you're going to be buying that on a regular basis. And this is what's happening. It's all about profit margins. So the more profit they can make, the more they can go in that direction. Move on, please, sis. Thank you. Convenience foods. Oh my day. Now, one of the key things we're trying to fight is time. When you haven't got time, oh, sure, let me just fling this in the microwave. Sure, let me fling this in the oven. And then you buy this ready meal or processed meal, and it's convenient because it doesn't take you no time to get that product, to get that item, and it's got everything in it. It can be a pie, it can be a bolognese, but you just put it in the oven and boom, that's done. A lot of these convenience foods are even worse than most of the other foods, because what happens is, again, they want to get you hooked, but a lot of the ingredients they put in there, convenience foods are supposed to be cheap and convenient. So to make it cheap, they put in a lot of preservatives, make sure it lasts longer, but then again, a lot of chemicals, and you don't know what you're getting. So what happens is you've got to now prepare. So how can you combat? How can you counter the convenience foods? When it comes to cooking, sometimes it's better to double up and try and do a bigger batch and then freeze one batch. Yeah. When you're chopping up your onions, your pepper, not so much onions, because if you put onion, unless you're going to freeze the onions, you really don't want to leave. If you leave onions in the fridge without it being wrapped, it will draw out all the liquid from everything. It will take on all the flavor, all the from the odors from the other foods, and it absorbs. So it's not necessarily the best, because it'll take on all whatever's around it. That's why certain people, when they got an illness, they'll put an onion in their sock overnight, and the onion will draw out all the illness into the onion. I don't know if you heard that one before, but that's how it does. So you've got certain ingredients you can prepare. Chop up your pepper, chop up your carrot, have it all chopped in little bags. So it's done. So when it comes to cooking, the cooking doesn't actually take long time. You can do food which takes quickly, but I'm going to go into that further down. If you've got everything chopped up, it makes the cooking easier and quicker. They in the industry, the catering industry, they call it mise en place, your preparation before cooking. The actual cooking does not take a time. The peeling the onions, the chopping the vegetables, that's what takes the time. And so what we've got to do is be preparing in advance. So the more you prepare in advance, the more easier it's to cook. So if you're cooking like I'll give you an example, like a cottage pie, but you're doing it with lentils, so lentil pie, do 2 lentil pies, do enough. Just do a little extra ingredients, freeze one, have it there. So then what happens is it cuts down your time spent in the kitchen all the time. You got to work smart, not fast. So the smarter you work, the easier it is for yourself. So the convenience food becomes you having your things done already. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking now from a holier than Joe point of view. There's times where you're going to get food from this takeaway or whatever, but I'm just saying as a norm on the regular basis, this is how we want to try and be moving. Yeah, are you with me on this so far? I'm not saying nothing wrong, am I? Am I saying anything? Does it make sense? Are we on the same page?
100%.
All right, we're definitely to see a bitch. All right, where are we going now? So let's go on to, when you do shopping, do a list, because what they do in the supermarkets, they'll have all these specials and it catches your eye. You think, Lord, we're gonna buy this. But then a lot of the time you buy something you don't really need and it's just wasting money. But the more you cook your own food, the more you prepare, the more you can make sure you save your money, because you're working in advance, you're working smarter. And then that convenience meal, let's say you're buying it for 4 people. Oh, it's only £7 and it's a full dinner. So you spent, let's say 4, 7, 28. You spent £28 on 4 ready meals. You go to the shop, you can get, let's say you're a vegetarian, let's say you eat fish. You can get some fish for about £6. You can get some vegetables, a couple of pounds. You're going to have some seasonings, which is pence. And then you might have some different vegetables on the side. But you can do that, and that will give you a lot more than that convenience food would give you, and you know what's in it. So you're thinking smart, but you're not thinking long. All right, moving on, please, sis. All right. You know, one of the things with us, we fry up. we fry up, man. Jesus. And one of the things which takes away a lot of the value of our food is the cooking methods. So, and the other thing is, with us from an Afro-Caribbean perspective, African and Caribbean people, you know, when we cook our food, we want it cooked. Now, I said an example about the steak. We don't want it like with blood coming out, but we sometimes go to extremes. It's like we're not sure the animal dead, we want to kill it again. We kill every last ounce of goodness out of whether it's meat, fish, vegetables. And it's like, we just don't see, it's like the cabbage is supposed to have a little bit of, firmness to it. The thing come like mush. You can't be cooking like that all the time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not into this al dente where everything's hard and everything like that, but we got to kind of be more better in terms of the way we cook. The fried food, why do I say fried food? Fried food is one of the most dangerous ones going. When you fry your food, it soaks up the oil. The more oil it soaks up, the more that's going into your system. When they talk about heart disease and things like that, you can link it to a lot of fast foods or a lot of fatty foods. I remember going to Jamaica in, I think it was 1995, and my aunt who in Jamaica was a cardiologist. She's retired now. And she said, we could trace back to where we had young people coming into the hospital in Jamaica to when the fast food chains came there. She said the fast food came there, I think it was like in the late 70s, 80s. And by the 90s, they were having younger and younger people coming there with cardio disease illnesses linked to cardio, breathing and heart, which she said was unheard of. But she said they could trace it straight back to the direct link. So that tells you in terms of it. And this is in the 90s, she's telling me this. I think we've gone way past that. When you're doing your vegetables, if you are going to use water, a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan, bring it to the boil, put the vegetables in, put a lid on it so it steams the vegetables. Don't cook the vegetables in a whole heap of water, because what happens is the goodness from the vegetables goes in the water. When you're in the vegetables, you're not really getting the best. You lose about 25% when you cook it in boiling water. So steam it. When it comes to frying, there's air fryer now. You can put a teaspoon of oil and then air fry your food. These kind of things are the kind of investments you want to get. Who's heard of the George Foreman grill? I used to do workshops on that George Foreman grill. Again, you don't even need no fat on that, and it keeps your food nice and tender and moist. You can cook everything. You can get the double one. So instead of doing everything fried, you can still get the flavor, because we're all about the flavor, and me too. We don't want to dry up food. One of the things which make people avoid healthy eating, so-called, is the image of healthy eating. Lettuce leaf, tomato, and dry salad. It is like, Lord of God, me I got dead then, because we don't want to eat that. Our bodies tell us we want it, and the food is like a comfort. You think of it now. It's cold, wet, and rainy. You're in your yard. I can know there's many of you got a big old bag of crisps. I didn't say crisps, crisps by your side. Jarita, take your hand from your head. And that is how we play. Don't get me wrong, I do that as well. So I'm not coming on no holy bag. That's not me. I'm saying, but these are the kind of things. But how do you counter that? I'm going to go into that as well. The cooking method: steam your veg, George Foreman, air fryer. Don't be killing it. If you are going to deep fry something, deep fry it to get the crispy coating on the outside. Take it out of the oil, let it finish in the oven. So then what happens is, not soaking in the oil the whole time. It finished off cooking in the oven, so it cooks nice and evenly, but you still got that nice crispy shell. But if they done a survey, I remember, if you had fish and chips once a week for a year, you'd have the equivalent of 15 liters of oil going through your body. You think about 15 1-liter cartons of oil going through your body in the space of a year. That's if you had fish and chips once a week. And not for you have fish and chips more than once a week. So let's be real. Let's be real. As I said, we've got to now change around the cooking methods. So it's not a point doing all this training and exercising, because if you're eating wrong and you're training, you're just going to put it back on and back on and back on. And if you don't put it back on, your body's going to be wasting away in the inside because it's got all this junk in it. When you're younger, you can burn it off. As we get older, that's where it becomes harder to get rid of it. And so what's happening is the diseases and the illnesses are becoming more stronger to combat our immune system. And this is where they done a little test with COVID, where you had to have a good immune system, or you had to kind of be strong in your mind. You have to kind of keep fighting it. We've still got to get there. Move on, please, sis. Now, hey, still on cooking methods. One of the key things a lot of people have is sandwiches and bread. Now, when it comes to bread is made, the traditional bread what they make for sandwiches and things on that side, is made with yeast. Now, yeast is a bacteria, but they call it a good bacteria. But to get the best out of bread, you have to leave it to prove, whereby you leave it in a warm place and let it double up, and then you bake it after a while. Now, that is based on the bacteria, because bacteria needs warmth, moisture, and time and heat to grow. And so when you've got all those things there, that's what happens, and that's why bread is yeast. But then when we have bread, and then that goes into your system, that yeast is still activating, is still working with the acids in your stomach, and that's why you feel bloated when you have too much bread in your system. What you can do to counter that is, if you're having bread, toast the bread. If you toast it, what it does, it cuts down the impact of the yeast on your stomach. So if you are going to have bread, try and toast it. And the other thing is, go for brown bread, wholemeal bread, whole wheat wholemeal bread, as opposed to the white bread. White bread is refined. That's why even white sugars, you want to go for the brown. The less refined it is, the better it is for your system. Going back onto cooking methods, a lot of us have starchy foods, potatoes and rice. If you are going to do rice, this is what you do. There's two ways you can do it. Just get the rice, don't wash it off straight away. Turn the oven on, get the oven warmed up about 150, 160 degrees, gas mark 5. Put the rice in the oven and brown it. Keep turning it for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe not even that, about 10, 15 minutes. And all you do is just brown the rice in the oven, keep turning it, and then wash it like normal when you're ready to cook it. What you do when you brown it like that, you take away some of the starch when you're cooking the rice, and it makes it less harder on your body. So browning the rice first gets rid of some of that starch. The other thing you can do is you can fry the rice off in some oil or butter. And again, fry it, no water, just oil or butter, and fry it. The butter or the oil is to stop it sticking, and then just dry fry it with the oil or butter, and then that takes the starch out as well. And then you cook your rice as normal. So you wash it, cook it like normal. These are kind of things which you can use to help yourselves. We're in a cold, frigid country, part of the world, so you do need to and bulgur wheat. Someone put bulgur wheat. Yeah, you can have those kind of things. Bulgur wheat, quinoa, things like that. Alternative couscous, and couscous is quick and easy, less heavy starch. But if, sometimes if you do want rice, and sometimes it's not always about us. Sometimes you cook about other people. These are the ways you can do to help yourself. Yeah. Right. Moving on. What time I got? All right, we'll move. All right, move on. Next slide, please. All right, time's flying. Soya and GM foods. Now, when you talk about population control, you've got to look at, if you want to get rid of a people, how can you do it? You're going to go through their diet. Now, soya is one of the main GM foods, and you'll find it in bread, you'll find it in cakes. They'll have soya flour, soya this, soya. They put soya in it, and when they say soya, that's where it's GM. 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10. They don't necessarily have to tell you on every product. This is where you got to do your research. So soya and GM foods. These are genetically modified foods. It's like you'll have the same taste of tomato, same look as a tomato, but it won't have the nutritional benefit of a tomato. Same with things like bananas. These things will not have it. There is no such thing as a proper fruit which doesn't really have seeds. So when we're buying these seedless grapes and things like that, that's not the real deal. That's not the real deal. Because grapes are supposed to have seeds, and things are supposed to have seeds. I remember when I went to the Caribbean for the first time, and I saw an orange. And I said, why them orange? Oh, you're going to eat them orange. Them things look yellow and green. And no, because it's all artificial. Because we hear the word orange, they make sure it's orange, not real. The big old red apples, it's a dye, and it's a wax. It's not even a dye. I don't really see them too much in the shops nowadays. But at the same time, you've got to know what's going in your system. Look at the labels. Soya is going to be one of them. And look at where it says the labels, because now they're changing rules where they don't have to tell you. How do we counter all this? So you've got all these things happening. How do you counter it? Next slide, please, sis. Jarita, you there? All right. So the next slide I'm going to show is more talking about fasting. Thanks, sis. Fasting. Fasting is one of the things which can help in so many ways. It's where you it's like your own little detox. Now we're talking about New Year resolution. Fasting is going to be one of the things which can help you, where sometimes you can do a water fast, sometimes you do a dry fast like what we do in Ramadan, but a fast where you have a cleanse. So if you're not doing the washout, you can do a fast where you let your stomach is a muscle. The more you work your muscle, the more you're going to wear it out. If you're eating all the time, not giving your stomach no time to rest, no time to distribute the ingredients what you've been consuming around the body to make sure it can repair, then that's where your body is not going to repair itself, and it's going to be more susceptible to illness. So fasting, one of the diets I started on with, how to eat to live, 1 meal a day, and try eat the meal at the same time. So let's say you eat at 4 o'clock today, you try and go for 4 o'clock tomorrow. So you've got a certain pattern, so your body gets used to getting rid of. So what's happened is you've allowed your body to get rid of that waste in that 24-hour period, and then you go on. And then at the end of the month, the first Thursday, have a meal, don't eat Friday, don't eat Saturday, and then you eat Sunday around 4 or 5 o'clock. And then that's like a proper cleanse. I'm not saying for you, this is the kind of diet, ideally. This is how you now get your body back on track. This is how you get your body on the right track. I'm not saying this for everyone, but I'm just saying this is the kind of diet which will work and it helps your body fight against illness. But fasting or detox, some kind of cleanse is very important. So these are the kind of things I wanted to kind of share with you. Time has flown. I must say the time has flown, but I'm going to end with a couple of pointers. On that last slide, please, Dorita. So disciplined eating. Try to eat at the same time each day. Drink at least a liter of water every day. And when I say a liter, at least, that's the minimum. It should be more, but I'm just saying, start off. Try detox every month. When I say detox, try and just have fluids for 1 day, or I'm going to cut out no meat or no, if you eat meat all the time, cut it out for 1 day. Try a detox. At least once a month, try something with the cleanse. Have healthy snacks around. So if you're peckish, you go for good foods at hand. So things like pumpkin seeds, you can roast them, season them up, roast them in the oven, look at oil, look at seasoning, boom, they taste nice as a nice snack. Eat less fried foods. If eating bread, toast it. Look at the labels so you know what you're eating. And one of the key things, no pork or pork byproduct. If you know how a pig, you are what you eat, if you see how a pig lives and what it eats, in the hotel trade, restaurants, you have something called a pig bin. All the food just has gone off. All the food, you put it in the pig bin, and that's given to the pig. You are what you eat. The pig will eat any of that thing. It eats its own filth. So it's not a question of, oh, just don't eat pig for no reason. There's a method and there's a reason for these things. Walk when you can to get your blood circulating. All right. So these are the kind of tips I'm leaving you to kind of try to kind of get a better healthy living. Prepare your food. Try and do your own cooking. I'm not saying everything in moderation. If you are going to eat out, it's not going to be a regular thing. But when you do eat out, try and make sure you go for a nice place and you know what you're going to be eating. Yeah. Try and keep it disciplined, but give yourself goals. And sometimes you're going to fall off the track, but then you just have to go back, dust yourself off, and then get yourself back on. Yeah. All right. Let's go with sis. Do it the other way around. I'm going to show you Matilda first. Go for that little clip, please. Oh, the volume's not playing. Damn. All right. So what that clip was showing was Matilda. If you watch the film, she's supposed to be highly intelligent. And one of the first things she does when she gets to cook is throw away all the convenience, like the canned food, and starts making up her own ingredients. And it's key. They're showing you intelligent person cooks their own food. Drita, can you try the other? Let's try the other video, please.
Give me a second. I was just trying the sound again, but for some reason my sound box ain't coming up. So I have no idea what's going on, but we'll try a thing still. Hold on.
Let's try a thing. Thank you, sis.
All right. Let me know if you can hear now. I doubt it though. I can't press the button, but let me see. I might need to come out and start again and try.
No props. Okay, while Dorita's doing that, so family, hopefully you've got something from what I've been talking about, and hopefully.
Does that work or no?
I can't hear nothing. Can anyone hear anything? Let us know if you can hear anything. No,
No.
it's not coming through on that one. Try the Boondocks one, please.
All right, I'm gonna try again. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. Why is it on? I don't understand. Oh, it's always the way, isn't it?
Yes, it's the way.
I don't think it's gonna work because I can't. My share sound.
Just show me,
gone grey.
with the Boondocks one, I can just show me the image for them, please. So,
Okay, cool.
and then I can talk it. Thank you. Elijah Mohammed, how to eat the leaf. I knew it. Just what joy do you get out of trying to crush all of my dreams, Huey? You know how long I wanted to own my own restaurant?
For 3 weeks at Sunday dinner. That was the first time you mentioned it. And you only started doing the stupid Sunday dinner thing because you saw soul food on cable. We're gonna pause this for the benefit of all y'all who never saw Soul Food. Soul Food is a movie about a big, humongous black grandmother, aptly named Big Mama. Big Mama demonstrates her love by feeding herself and her offspring enormous amounts of pig lard. Then, get this, Big Mama's arteries are so clogged, they gotta amputate her arm.
It was her leg.
Right, okay, whatever, leg. Then, she dies of a heart attack. Or another stroke, or something.
God called her.
And what does the family do after she dies? They get together for a Sunday dinner and eat the same food that just killed Big Mama. The same food. They didn't learn a lesson. Nobody went on a diet, and that's the end of the movie.
Sunday dinners was my idea. They got that for me. Something wrong? That's fine. Come away. Come away from that, sis. Thank you. Okay, family. If you've seen the film Soul Food, and it's literally the concept of eating around the table is a good concept, but the food they were eating in that film, it shows you in terms of sometimes we just don't learn from our mistakes. And Big Mama, she had diabetes in the film, and she, as it said, she got her leg amputated, she had a heart disease, and she was big. And then that was the concept. But at the same time, we can still have that family, but just make sure you know what's going in that food. Now, I've gone over time, and one of the things I know Andrew likes is to keep on time. I'm going to round up and say, I hope you got something from that. And I'm hoping that, you know, we can learn together and we can strive going into 2023, where we do our fitness on a proper level and health, mind, and body. On that note, we're going to say, thank you. And next we're going to have our big brother, Dr. Walcott, but sister will bring him on. Thank you, family.
I'm back.
Rita.
Boy, it looks like everybody's suffering from Labara internet, boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, wow. I've seen some ones there. Thank you, family. I'm humbled by that, man. Respect. Thank you, Christine, Shirley, Janet, Valerie, Diana. You know, some item not good. I can't. You're not doing so quick, Jamie, Carol Thompson, Mo. Respect. Thank you. Give thanks. I'm hoping we could share and break bread together properly. Toasted bread, yeah? Right. Dorita, I'm handing back to you now, sis.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kev. I did learn tons, as usual. I don't know about this oven rice, though. That was the one thing yeah, I might have to. I can't lie.
I'll do your batch.
I'll do
your batch, all right?
Okay, all right. After we try it, then we'll
all
see.
Right. Okay.
Everything besides the oven rice sounded. All right, so we are moving on, and now we are coming to our main speaker for tonight. And I can already see him online looking like a superstar. Hello, sir. How are you doing? So I'm going to do my little introduction for the Conscious Doctor, i.e. Mr. Mark Walcott, or Dr. Mark Walcott even. He is a multi-professional or polymath. He's director and head consultant for the Mind and Body Clinic in London, creative director and manager for the Performing Arts Studio in Newnham College for further education. He's also the CEO of MADA Music and Dance Academy in London. His educational background began in Jamaica, woo, 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 always representing. He then went to Goldsmiths College in the UK. He's now a homeopathic doctor, and he's been on our show many times, and I have gone to him personally. As you guys know, I've had a few ailments in my time over the past 2 years, and I went to him maybe about, when was it? Maybe early last year, was it? No, maybe the year before. I went to him, and actually some of the advice that he gave me, I took on board, and as you can see, I'm still here live and kicking, and giving lots of others some advice that he has helped me to solve. So thank you so much for that. So Dr. Walcott, please, if you could unmute yourself. I'm looking forward to this. Hi. Hi, how are you doing?
Really well, recovering from the seasonal festivity.
I've been literally taking echinacea every single day.
Oh, good.
So I think that's the only thing that's making me survive at the moment. All the teachers I know dropped down during the Christmas break, and I'm still live and kicking. So yes, get some echinacea, people. It works. But okay, you're here to talk to us today about a few things. I don't know if you'd like to share your screen or if you just want me to hand over to you, but this is your time, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank you for your introduction. I want to thank Brother Andrew for first inviting me to Hidden Truth presentations. And the platform has over the years proved itself to be a champion platform in the UK. Brother Andrew also, I must say, have proved himself to be, in my opinion, a champion black man in this country. For me, he's my prime minister, not Rishi Sunak, right? So, yeah, big up to Brother Andrew, as him said, lick shot in a Babylon, yeah, Buffalo Soldier. Yeah, I like all that. So, thank you so much. Brother Andrew and myself go back some years. I think it feels like about 30 years, I think at least. And I heard Brother Ankara and our chef, good chef Kevin, and honestly, I'm really impressed, and their presentations were really immaculate. Brother Ankara, I want to say well done to his achievements, and meeting up with one of my dear friends, Tessa Sanderson, who I worked with for many years. So that was very inspiring to see that. And Brother Chef Kevin, I'm impressed that for maybe the first time I've seen a conscious chef. They call me conscious doctor. I would call him the conscious chef, because most modern chefs would talk about pork and about lamb chops and oxtail, if you're from the Caribbean, and, you know, cow foot and all of that stuff, pig trotters. But he was very conscious and referred to that great book, How to Eat to Live. And so I think that was really impressive. I want to say thank you to both of them for a really great presentation. I enjoyed that. I want to say at this point, as I'll take the opportunity to say greetings to all the people who's attended, and also take a small moment to say we've lost a great champion, Pele. And as the world kind of seen him off today at his funeral, I'd like to celebrate his departure from this realm. And we've lost a really great hero. Today's presentation is about mind, body, and preservation and wellness as usual. But for New Year, most people would say, we want to hear about detox and how we can cleanse the body and how to make good resolutions and keep them and stuff like that. But today, actually, as Brother Kevin said, I don't want to make it gloom and so forth and morbid. But at the same time, if we're not aware, if we're not becoming more and more conscious of the things that's harmful, the things that are threatening, then the gloom and doom is, as they say in Jamaica, fire there must still, him think a cool breeze. I don't like that. I don't like that one. So yeah, I'd like to be prepared and proactive to know. So my presentation today is meant to bring about an awareness of where we are, what's to come, and possibly where we're coming from while we ended up where we are. So we're in some dark times at the moment. For example, we're in a new year, so we don't want to start on a gloomy foot, but for example, we're at war. No, we're not personally directly at war, but the whole planet is our planet. So we don't want to start believing the narrative that we're just UK or you're just Jamaica or you're just St. Lucia. The whole planet is our planet. We belong to the whole entire planet, not just the UK. So when someone dies or an area is at war or they're suffering, the whole planet's feeling that, even if you've been taught to be selfish. Now, where I'm going with this is, we see war and many children dying and mothers in the street crying, they've lost loved ones. And I want to say this to you about the industry and the field I belong to, that I work in. I see more deaths than that. I see more atrocities than the atrocities going on in Ukraine and Russia at this time. For example, there's a word called iatrogenics. It's I-A-T-R-O, iatro. And genics. Iatrogenics mean death by prescriptive drugs, basically. Malpractice and other may well be intentional, but for want of a more balanced meaning, it means death by prescriptive drugs. And it's now at this time the third leading cause of death in the world. So we're talking about war. This is more deaths than any war, is iatrogenics. It's the leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer, is iatrogenics. This is death by drugs that's been prescribed by our doctors. So this is a field, this is an industry that kills more people than the wars that we see in the world. And so I know we get really, fascinated by the media and how they coin their stories to us. And you would never hear that actually the biggest cause of death in the world, one of the third leading causes of death, is the prescription that your GPs and GPs around the world are writing. Now, I'm not going to take today to describe the different side effects from all the drugs that many of our people and people around the world are taking and how they die on a daily basis. But to say this, okay, so there is that unawareness, there's that ignorance where people are not aware that, first of all, that the leading cause of death is, the third leading cause, I should say, the third leading cause is death due to prescriptive drugs and their side effects. Now, I want to be balanced in saying that there are some drugs that the pharmaceutical companies have created that are useful, and surgical procedures that are invaluable to saving lives. And I think we're at the point where we have to look at all the things that help to save life than being picky and choosy and being elitist and pointing a finger at them and we're better than them. We're at the point where in such dark times where all life is threatened by so many things, by the foods that we eat, to say the least, what to speak of pandemics. But we're at that point where we have to apply everything we know. We have to stop bickering about insignificant things that's not saving lives. The GPs have a real tough job. They have to follow the suit of the pharmaceutical industries. And in our country, in the UK, it's the BMA, the British Medical Association. So they're going to keep prescribing the drugs they're prescribing. They're going to keep prescribing those drugs. That's the third leading cause of death in the world. They're not going to stop doing that. So my approach with herbal and natural and homeopathic medicines is not to defeat the pharmaceutical industries or to overtake your GPs. It's to try to create some balance to reduce the deaths, and to try to, I suppose, promote the truth about health, that you can't keep, treating symptoms and get a solution to those problems without looking at the cause. And for too many, I think, centuries now, it's not decades anymore, I think it's got into a couple of centuries where they've started using these approaches of treating the symptoms instead of the cause to disease and diseases. I want to bring this point of the usefulness of pharmaceutical drugs when they can be applied in the right place. Like, and most people, they will say, oh, all pharmaceutical drugs are bad. But all pharmaceutical drugs are not bad if you have an acute infection, because too many people are actually becoming too extreme, and people die from extremism and ignorance. And so if you have an infection, an eye infection, an ear infection, an infection in your head where your brain, your central headquarters is, you don't want to start taking moringa. You don't want to start rubbing moringa oil. You want to start taking some antibiotics and get rid of that infection in your ears before it spreads to your inner ear, and then your brain's just next door. So there are times where you have to apply these type of aggressive medicines, albeit that they have side effects. When those cases, requires those really aggressive measures. And I would say it would be acute diseases. People and listeners need to understand that. You don't want to have your son, your daughter, your children, with a high temperature, and you try to fan them and just give them Kool-Aid. You need to, in fact, get them to the hospital. But by the way, paracetamol is not just a painkiller, analgesic, it's also antipyretic, so it brings temperatures down. Now, there are cases where you may have to do that dramatically to save that life. And I want to make that point clear first. So that's the balance. That's where we need it. My mother had a thyroid issue, a goiter. It was getting bigger. It was suffocating at night. She couldn't sleep. And so she needed to have an ectomy. She needed to have a surgical procedure. I'm just sharing with you, there are these measures. We're not blindly, turning the thumbs down to all the different scientific technologies and the different measures that these, pharmaceuticals and surgeons and the NHS and so forth are offering. Unfortunately, it has become, since the pandemic, the cracks has been a little bit widened, and everyone can see the dreadful horror story that comes from the hospitals and from the surgeries. Fortunately, I have linked with, in 2018, I became a registered manager for the CQC. And so that allowed me to make connection and contact and have relations and affiliations with GPs, surgeons, ultrasound radiologists, specialists, dentists, psychologists, psychiatrists, gynecologists, and many other medical professionals that allow me now to refer my patients to a medical doctor or a surgeon or for blood tests, and they know that I'm a naturopathic doctor. And that still works because I'm a CQC registered manager. So I became really fortunate in 2018 that the government allowed me now to work alongside with these professionals. And so I've got a couple of NHS clinics that I refer patients to. They send me their blood test reports, they send me their ultrasound reports, so I can see early what may be wrong with any given patient. So these are some of the technologies that can be utilized within our current naturopathic, natural, the herbs, yes, the homeopathic, yes, alongside these other supporting services. And I'm really glad to report back to you that this is working really well at the moment. Patients who don't feel secure going to see their GP for any particular thing, I can have that done in one of our clinics, MediPark or MediWell. If you might want to make a note, thank you so much. If you want to make a note of where you'd see, for example, a dentist that you can trust, that knows me, that knows that you might be of a particular cultural type, you may be vegan, you may have particular fears and phobias, and your particular, I would say, not a phobia in this regard, but you're having to face racism and rejection and all sorts of stuff and neglect, and all of that. So he's aware of our story. His name is Dr. Jim. And I heard someone mention Carol Thompson. If Carol's there, I want to say hi, Carol, beloved Carol, thank you. If Carol's there, Carol can testify that Dr. Jim, our good dentist at MediWell, that he is second to none. She actually says she won't see another dentist. I say Janet Kay as well. So I'm highly recommending Dr. Jim, and that's at one of the clinics that I refer patients to, and that's called MediWell. So if you want to contact Dr. Jim, just Google MediWell Clinic. It's on Lansdowne Road in North London somewhere. And just call and book your appointment to see Dr. Jim for your dental cares. So that's the kind of overlap with natural medicine and allopathic medicine that I'm looking really forward to seen more of this in the future. With our brother like Ankara, it would be nice if he could work alongside GPs. That's the type of model I'm looking at trying to, create for the future. I'd like to take this opportunity to salute Professor Earl Taylor, who has more recently become my mentor in that regard, giving me guidance and guidelines how to make these type of things manifest and fructify. And he's been really instrumental in putting my head clear and having like a forecast that looks positive and looks promising. For example, the Caribbean, Jamaica in particular, for example, we have high levels of diabetes, and he has pointed out the importance, the need, the necessity for the doctors of Jamaica to understand the natural ways of reversing diabetes type 2, for example, and reversing, and we say reversing meaning curing really, but for a more word that it's political correctness, it's reversal. The disease goes into spontaneous remission. These are the words that the FDA prefers. So we're reversing diabetes type 2, some of them, not all cases, but reversing diabetes type 2 for sure. We're reversing the borderline, which is pre-diabetes, and we're reversing many, many cases of hypertension, high blood pressure. And so Professor Taylor, God bless him, has taken it kind of upon himself to find a kind of pathway, find an avenue to introduce natural medicines, herbal medicines, homeopathic medicines into the med school of Jamaica. That's the new school was just inaugurated a couple of months ago. He is the chancellor of that medical school. And so he actually made an address to the doctors and made it clear to them that there is a need for natural medicines for now and the future. And I have never said this to anyone, and this is the first time I'm saying it after Professor Taylor mentioned it to me. This is the first time I'm mentioning it now, that the idea is, and I won't say too much, but the idea is to introduce a naturopathic department in the medical school itself. So those doctors in Jamaica, at least the future ones, will have some modules on naturopathic treatments that will help them to reverse some of the diseases like diabetes type 2 without the medications like metformin and so forth. And like our brother Kevin just mentioned, the diet, the foods that cause harm. We also have a plan to get the government to make an alert and formulate a way how the citizens of Jamaica and eventually St. Lucia and Barbados and so forth, that they become more aware from the schools, they become more aware about the foods that are naturally available to them, but they're harmful. You know, the dumplings, you know, the yams, the cassavas, you know, it's hard food and it's natural, but it's killing people because we have this diabetes type 2, epidemic at the moment, and it's among mostly Black people. And in the Caribbean, most of the people die there from heart attacks. And the heart attacks is caused by some of these diabetes type 2, the impact of diabetes type 2 is that most diabetics die from a heart attack, from heart disease. And of course, I don't hear many diabetics dying from blindness or from amputations. They die from heart attacks. And, and also it's now, there's correlations that show that diabetes can also impact, cause people to be predisposed to cancer. And also Alzheimer's and dementia. So diabetes type 2 is epidemic, and for me, it's the new cancer. You can live a long life with cancer these days, but diabetes type 2, your immune system goes down, manhood goes down, womanhood goes down, the immune system, your mobility, your legs get numb, you get neuropathy, the fingers get numb, you have to wake up to go urinate every night, all night, many hours, every 2 hours or so. And it just eventually damages your kidneys. You end up on dialysis, you get high blood pressure because you put on weight, then you get obesity, then you have to take medication for cholesterol. Diabetes type 2 is disgusting. It's a real horror story. And I'm pushing to bring a bigger awareness about this new killer. And of course, you can imagine, knowing that it kills mostly Black people, knowing that in the UK we have more than 4 million Black people with diabetes type 2, know that the government has not made any pathways for any projects to address this, disease on the Black people in the UK, for example. And so I'm asking people like Ankara and Brother Kevin to take it upon themselves to make our people and people in general become more aware of those type of foods. He mentioned a couple. One of them is bread. Bread is really a killer. And it's not a killer as in you eat bread and you die, but it's a slow killer because the yeast creates, bloatedness, it creates wind. And then, of course, not many people mention this, but for women, that yeast in the bread does more harm to you than it does to men, because it creates a condition in women and men called candida. Candidiasis means candida infection, and it happens in the colon. And for women, it makes women have these vaginal discharges, quite a number of different types, different colors, different thickness, acrid, burning, all sorts of vaginal discharges. It affects the vaginal health, having candida, and that from bread. Yes, from bread. And once you get candida and then you eat sugar, then the sugar makes the candida grow. Now, you'd have thought that the NHS would make women more aware of candidiasis, but no. Candida is also the foundation for most, if not all, cancers. And if you want to read more on that, you should look at a doctor called Dr. Simoncini, who wrote a book called Cancer is Fungus. That's what the book's called. He's an oncologist. He's not a herbalist. He's not a naturopath, not a homeopath. He's an oncologist. His profession dealing with just cancer for over 15 years. You can go read up about him, go on YouTube and see what he's done. And his conclusion is cancers, all cancers are fungus. And I'm saying fungus is made, one of the fungoids is candida. And so bread, as our, illustrious Elijah Muhammad pointed out, bread in his book, How to Eat to Live, as one of the most dangerous things to Black people, I think, to all people. So, I'd really caution everyone on this platform to share with friends and family and your children to reduce the bread intake. How do you get around it? There is unleavened bread, there's yeast-free bread, and so forth. And there's don't have bread for weeks, and maybe have it once a week. I like what Brother Kevin was saying. I'm not this extremist kind of doctor. I believe in, you indulge sometimes, but then you take the the trouble of going to the gym, doing some detoxing, going to the sauna, run it off, swim it off, work it out, and get some of that junk that you've taken out of the body. But bread happens to be one of the real bad ones, bread. A list I've got here, this is just for listeners to make their new resolutions and detox and make plans for a better life, better future. And for your children as well, by the way, if they eat too much bread, they get gluten allergies. They have cereals in the morning, then bread for what you call it, sandwiches. Then they go to school, they have more wheat. And so they eventually get gluten, they get a wheat allergy, and it affects the colon. You can get colon issues later on in life. But here's a list of things that I believe all listeners need to be aware of, including our brother Chef Kevin, is that, first of all, things like carbohydrates. We love carbs. We love carbohydrates, and carbohydrates have very little value. He was talking about nutrition. There's hardly any nutrition in carbs. It's just energy. It's sugar. There is energy. You want to run the marathon, you need carbs, you need sugars. And lots of people with diabetes, when they come to the surgeon, they say, "But Dr. Mark, I don't take a whole lot of sugar." I said, "No, it's not the sugar I'm worried about. It's dumplings, it's the rice, it's the biscuits, it's the cakes, it's the snacks, it's the bread, it's the pasta. These are the things that when they broken down become sugars, and they're harmful. They don't like you, so you have to stop liking them." So here's some of the things to look out for the new year, if you want to, filter some of the bad things out. These are some of the things I'd suggest that you find better balance with. Red meat, I'd say, is a no. Red meat. I know some people, even my mom, she said, my mom stopped red meat a long time ago. My mom's 86, God bless her. And she just turned 86 this last month. And, she's good, she's strong, she's got no ailments, nothing wrong with her. And her father, she looked after in this country, lived to 104. So, she must be doing something right. And one of the things she's doing, she's cut out red meat. She says, "Mark, every now and again, I go to a funeral, I go to a night, or I go to a wedding, and then I have some red meat, and I have a little piece of it. But other than that, I don't eat it at all." So red meat is a definite, unless you're in the West Indies, Caribbean, or Africa, where you kill the goat or the cow today or yesterday, then maybe. But other than that, I would say definitely watch out for the, it's what they put in the meat, and we don't have time to go into it. It's antibiotics. It's all sorts. It will put you off. It'll really put you off. But just cut out as much as you possibly can all red meat. all of it. Go for fish and chicken. Fish and chicken is safer. It's not the safest either, but it's good, better, best, right? So you go for so take out the red meat as much as possible as you can. Bread, also, this is the avoid list, right? This is the avoid list. Avoid red meat, avoid bread, avoid rice, snacks which are highly processed, made with flour, white flour, those snacks, biscuits, even your, what do you call them? This is going to really put some people off. Even your, what's them crackers now that they really like? Water crackers, all those crackers. I mean, if you eat a few crackers with steamed fish, that's fine, actually. But I'm talking where some ladies eat crackers every single day, right? Unless I'm dieting, but they're eating crackers. So the crackers, the cakes, you got to avoid them. And the dairy foods you got to avoid because of the mucus, and also pasta you have to avoid. Rice is not just rich and high in carbohydrates. It's also one of the highest foods with the highest level of arsenic. You know, one of the foods with the highest level of arsenic is rice. So, and there's lots of vegans that sprouting these days, and that's good. But I need to share something. I need to share something about veganism. Veganism was highly promoted by our master, Dr. Sebi. And I also promote veganism. I'm a vegetarian myself, 45 years vegetarian. I haven't eaten chicken since I was 16. And so, not being proud, but vegan is the superior diet. But these days, because of the diseases and the changes with the way that new diseases are sprouting up, veganism isn't the best diet for everyone, but it is the superior diet for everyone. It's a superior diet for human beings, put it that way. But some human beings, for example, have diabetes type 2, as I said. And then if you look at the vegan diet, it's mostly starch, it's mostly carbohydrates. And some people say, but no, Dr. Mark, vegan means plant-based, it means veg. Yeah, but what they having the veg with? They're having it with rice. Vegans eat pasta. Vegans can eat half. Vegans can eat all of the carbohydrates because it's not meat and it's not dairy, and it's not, you know, animal products. So vegans do eat most of the food that vegans are eating has high levels of carbohydrates, and that's not good for someone with diabetes type 2. So you need to look out for that. They will need to measure their carbohydrates to keep the insulin factors down. So that's the pros and cons of the disclaimer with the vegan diet. Now, I've opted for what I these days call a flexitarian diet. And someone's flashed up electric foods, and I am aware of all that. But as I said, we need to stop bickering about who eats the best diet, and we need to just do something that, as a common denominator, it's saving lives across the board. And the electric diet and alkaline diet, I'm aware of all of that. But we can't expect everyone to become, you know, vegetarian. We can't expect everyone to be vegan, even if it's the superior diet. We just have to be less judgmental and accept that different strokes for different folks. We have to. It's going to happen anyway. All you do is you end up trying to be superior to someone, wagging your finger and feeling high and mighty because you are vegan. And that's not the way forward for humanity. The way forward is that we, you know, each one teach one, and we allow each person their choices and give them guidance that even the choices they make that's not so good, we don't lose a life. So the list again was red meat, bread, rice, okay? Rice, snacks, that's not just any snacks. You heard the brother, you can have pumpkin seeds and loads of healthy snacks. Go for them. But the snacks which are made from flour, flat snacks which are highly processed, you need to avoid them because they become habitual, and before you know it, daily you're eating those highly processed snacks. You can't go into how damaging highly processed foods are to your system. But then the dairy, everyone knows now about the dangers of dairy. Most people are on to, you know, what do you call it, oats milk or lactulose and stuff like that. Most people know now. But imagine one time them used to put milk at people's door. Imagine you used to get the milk at your door with the bread too. And both the things now in the world are known to be really harmful, both bread and milk. You saw the world change. So, as I said, dark days. Food have become weaponized. The brother was talking about numbers and stuff. Foods are weaponized now, not just Scud missiles. The foods are weaponized. So the superior diet is vegan. There's vegetarian, there's pescatarian, and I'm saying flexitarian. So we don't lose anyone. So we don't badmind nobody and proud and bossy over anybody. Flexitarian. Have a bit of chicken on Monday. Have a vegetarian meal on Tuesday so you can take time transition into that. Wednesday, have a piece of chicken so you don't miss the meat too much. By Thursday, you go for something plant-based. Friday, you have another piece of fish. And this way, you've avoided red meat, but you're transitioning, giving up the whole lot eventually. So that's my call flexitarian. I call that flexitarian. And I know Dr. Sebi was very, he was more stalwart against all of that. And his patients would have to just follow a strict vegan plant-based. And some of my patients, cancerous ones, have to follow a strict plant-based stuff like that, but not all of them. And I should make this point while I'm on this point, is that those of you who believe that once you have cancer, you have to stop sugar, you have to get more oxygen in the body, you have to look out for anemia, because anemia means lack of oxygen, and that's not good for cancer. You also have to give up red meat. You have to also, this is the point, isn't it? You have to avoid cachexia, which is weight loss. Now, it's hard to eat when you lost your appetite. So they have to keep a food diary and eat cooked meals, not smoothies, not smoothies and what do you call it, sea moss, because you're going to lose your appetite even worse. So they need to eat 3 cooked meals. Now, here's a problem with the 3 cooked meals. They're not supposed to have red meat. They're not supposed to have dairy, not supposed to have cheese, and all the lists come down on them. They're left with very few things. I've had patients that's so depleted. They're so, their bodies are reduced to such, that I've had to have them eat whatever they can eat, have anything except red meat and sugar, so I can build them up, put some weight on them. Some of them are going to have chemo. Some patients I've got, chemo is inevitable because it spreads so badly. And so they have to get fattened up. And if you don't do this and go along this, I'm a staunch naturopath, you lose people in the name of natural medicine, and we can't be doing that. We need to save lives, even if it means they eat fish and chicken with the cancer and they put on a bit of weight, then they can take the chemo, or they're not taking chemo, but they put on a bit of weight. You know why? Because what takes a lot of cancer patients more than the cancer itself is depletion of nutrition. If you're depleted nutritionally, then your body's systems, your organs and your different respiratory and your cardiovascular, central nervous system, gastrointestinal system, renal system, all these different systems impacting each other, you get what you call multiple organ failure. The systems fail, and the cancer didn't even kill you like that. It was your systems that couldn't withstand the fact that your loss of appetite made you lose weight, you depleted, and you just became nothing, and then that took you. Organs start to fail and complications, and that was a problem. Wouldn't it be better if they had fish and chicken? So that's why I'm slightly different to Dr. Sebi. I create a broader spectrum. So if people can't do that, they refuse to do it for whatever reason, still catch them in that safety net and save lives. That's what I'm about, and that's what I'm encouraging everyone else to do, is to try to have a broader mind and catch your mummy, your uncle, your brother, sister, friend, even if they're not vegan and vegetarian. Find a way to shape a flexitarian diet for those people as well. So that was the, avoid list. And the superior diet is vegan. The next diet would be, probably vegetarian and pescatarian. And then, of course, I think flexitarian is the most friendly. And for those of you with, problems with obesity and diabetes, I call it diabetes type 2, I would recommend that you go for what's known as a keto diet. Heart disease as well. People with heart diseases, people with cholesterol, people with any disease that's caused from too much fats, cholesterol. Your way forward is plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, and if you're finding it hard, this is my highest recommendation, is you do what's known as a keto diet, which means you eat fish and chicken, but not with carbohydrates, with vegetables and or salad. It's called keto, K-E-T-O. That I've seen save lives. I've seen keto diet save hundreds and hundreds of lives and still working. So even the Europeans, when they have diseases, they follow keto diet by they eat steak. Now, I'm not recommending that. They eat red meat, but they eat that with veg and or salad. They don't eat the red meat with rice and peas, or red meat with carbs. They eat the red meat with veg and salad or salad. And so that's the keto diet. That's my favorite diet for saving lives, because people can be a little bit difficult with transitioning to, you know, sudden change to straight into vegan or vegetarian. Some people find that difficult. So keto is the most friendly diet I would recommend for any one of you anywhere in the world. Keto, K-E-T-O. So Brother Kevin mentioned intermittent, or he mentioned fasting, not intermittent, but I highly recommend fasting. For the new year, if you want to do some stuff for your New Year's resolution, you should implement fasting into your lifestyle. Really, you should. Do you know that when you fast, you allow the body to naturally detox, because you're not throwing something in for digestion, you know, some people treat their stomachs like how you throw garbage in a trash can. You know, the children are eating some crisps, you grab some of the crisps, 10 minutes later, someone's eating one of them, what do you call sweets? What do you call them? The cola champagne sweets and all the different tourist sweets. You grab some of them, and then someone's got some chips, so you grab a couple of the chips. And whatever is going around the kids, I've seen it, I'm a family man, I've seen it. You just grab some of that, what's going. And these habits slowly cause disorders, believe it or not, because most of these foods have their toxic residue and they build up after a while. And so I'm just saying, for your New Year's resolution, you might want to put the intermittent fasting. That gives you a chance to clear some of those habits that we've taken up, and some of them we're finding it hard to give up. Remember, the word habit is H-A-B-I-T. You take off the H, you're left with a bit. You take off the A, you're left with bit. You take off the B, and you're left with it. So it can be hard to give up habits, So those are the things to look out for your 23. And some of the things you can implement into good, healthy carbohydrate consumption would be things like bulgur, couscous, quinoa, bulgur, green bananas, green plantain, sweet potato. What else we got? Pumpkin, butternut squash. That's the healthier list. And there's a warning with that list as well. So that would be the bulgur, the couscous, quinoa, green bananas, green plantain, sweet potato, pumpkin. Should I slow down? So it's bulgur, couscous, quinoa. This is healthy for even diabetics, those type 2s. Bulgur is better than rice, right? Bulgur, couscous, quinoa, green bananas, green plantain, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, and butternut squash. This is a healthier list. Now, there's another, I like to give people, different options. So there's another one called 5 days on, 2 days off. And that's where you follow a strict keto diet. So you'd have fish and chicken. This works, by the way, and I get paid for these formulas. I'm just telling you them now. Even if you came to my surgery and paid me, this is some of the formulas you're going to get. So I'm just sharing it with you openly. So basically, for weight loss, this is probably one of the most powerful tools that I've got. It really is, in terms of the dietary protocols for weight loss. It would be this one. It would be 5 days on, 2 days off, which means for 5 days, Monday to Friday, you strictly have no carbohydrates. I said no carbohydrates, absolutely none. None at all. I know it's punishment for most of you, but this is for some of you who have conditions that's threatening and life-threatening, and it's going to get you into, irreversible disease and lifelong medication. So it's worthwhile spending 3 months, for example, to reverse your diabetes. I could reverse diabetes in 3 months in most cases, not all cases. So here's some of the reversal tricks. It's these foods, and you have them Monday to Friday. You don't have rice, you don't have pasta, you don't have bread, you don't have all of those. Avoid this. Instead, you have bulgur, you have couscous, quinoa, green bananas, plantain, sweet potato, pumpkin, and butternut squash. Those helpful, really healthier carbs you have with fish or chicken, right? You can have veg, of course, and salad, of course, but you do that on Monday to Friday. You have the couscous, quinoa, green bananas, sweet potatoes. That's Monday to Friday. You can have that. And then weekends like Saturday and Sunday, you can eat with the family, whatever's going on. That's the most lenient dietary protocol I've got. Now, the next one up from that is you don't have no carbs on Monday to Friday. None, like I said. That's another technique. You just have the fish, the chicken with the veg, and the salad. Monday to Friday. No rice, no pasta. Just fish, chicken with veg salad. And it can be difficult because there's ways around it, and that's what you get when you come to the surgery. Further tips how to go through the day, rest of the day, through the night, late night, and not pull your hair out. Here's another secret. A thing called chromium picolinate helps to reduce cravings. Some of you are having cravings. It's nothing to do with you're hungry. It's a craving. So there's a thing called chromium picolinate, which helps with that. CHROMIUM, chromium picolinate, PICOLINATE. That's it. So I'm going to just put it there in the chat. Chromium picolinate will help you with that. That's the secret right there. And then, of course, as I said, the hardest one is to do the keto, which is fish, chicken with veg and salad, Monday to Friday. Or even harder, keto for a whole 3 weeks. That's one of the things I give to some of my patients with certain illness. They do a keto for 21 days, complete keto, no carbs whatsoever, none, for 21 days. And I reverse and can see lots of illnesses go into reversal and go into remission from just doing that 3 weeks. It's a real powerful key that I'm giving you here for the new year. And when someone, as Brother Kevin said, fall out of balance and they backslide and so forth, this is one of the ways you forward slide, you get back on track, is that you do 21 days of doing a keto diet where you have no carbs for 3 weeks straight, and you have no breakfast as well. Instead, you have a smoothie for breakfast, and you have your first keto meal around between 1 and 2. And then you have one more meal before bed, which is also keto, and you do that for 21 days. And that is one of the miracles that I use in my surgery, and now you've just got it. Patients who've come to see me, they know, because that's what they do. I put them on 21 days dietary protocol, but I need you to do it. You don't need to come to the surgery, do it. You don't need to come and pay me, just do it. It's going to work. So that's the dietary protocol that can help you for 2021. You want to read some really good stuff on diet. It's not right for everyone. Diet is depending on your body type, mesomorph, ectomorph, or there's mesomorph, ectomorph, or endomorph, and they're different body types. And depending what type you are, it could be more difficult or easier. So books you can read to understand foods and diets and blood types. One's called Eat Right for Your Type. And that's why Germans and other Europeans can eat those steaks with blood, and it's delicious to them, and their gastric system can digest it because their blood type allows them. Their ancestors ate that. That's why. You can learn more about that from a book called Eat Right for Your Type by Dr. Dadamo. Dr. Dadamo, D-A-D-A-M-O, Dadamo. That's Eat Right for Your Type. Really powerful book, really powerful. eye-opening. Another book is called Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. And this writer, Kevin Trudeau, they arrested him. I think he's still in prison. The book's called Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. You read that book, it will change your life. You'll understand how the FDA, the politics, the politricks, the whole thing, how it works. So have a look at that. Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. What was the other one? Kevin Trudeau. So he's arrested because of what he exposed to the public. So have a look at that book. I'm not sure if it's still available, but have a look, see if you can get it, free download PDF, or if you can buy it, wherever you can get it, buy it, because he's in prison. Okay. So those are some of the books. I want to go into closing now, but I want to bring it to back to the opening statement of the dark times we're in, and what we need to do to navigate through this time. We've just come through a pandemic, and I have to give some guidelines because the field that I'm in, as I said, more people die than in any war. And so these are some of the guidelines. Those drinks that the children are drinking with these sweeteners, you really need to this year stop your children drinking any drink that has a sweetener in it. That's a real serious one, because those children are going to grow into having diseases in the future. Quote me on that. If they keep drinking these drinks with aspartame, saccharin, I think they banned saccharin now at last, but there's aspartame, sulfamate K, and sucralose. And all the fizzy drinks, literally, and even box juices are laced with these harmful sweeteners. And you should research them yourself, but you should stop your children having them. Even if you're addicted to them, you certainly shouldn't feed your children these sweeteners. They're going to cause problems, including cancer, for them in the future. And you can Google that and see that for yourself. So those are some of the things to look out for. There's something around technology that Professor Taylor has been highlighting to me. I've seen it come in, and he's now making it a bit of an alert. And the alert is this, that you see, technology has been changing and even evolving, as we know. www. We have mobile phones where we used to have telephone boxes outside, a mile from your home or half a mile or down the road. Now it's right at your fingertips. We've got, shoulder replacements, hip replacements, knee replacements, heart transplants, liver transplant. We've got so much stuff that it take the whole week to go through our technology and our advancement. But with that advancement, with mobile phones and the different things and tracking and GPS and all that stuff, we've managed to increase our mental health issues. And I believe the mental health issues primarily has increased because of the, employment and implementation of technology within our lives, that we all have a mobile phone, and we don't think that the mobile phone has any impact on bipolarness or someone having manic depression, or someone having some schizophrenia, or someone hearing voices, someone having paranoia psychosis. I want to bring to your awareness, I want to bring to your attention that these devices, I believe all of them, I think every screen device, every device that has a screen has the danger to you and your children of affecting you and your mental health. And that includes me. And so maybe for 2023, we could become more aware of how to not just have screen time for your TV and children watching stuff that's censored, but maybe screen time that your brain, your eyes, your head has had enough. Maybe we can find ways in 2023 that we actually switch the mobile off and see how painful that is for us to realize how addicted we are to these frequencies that entrap us, these frequencies which hold us prisoner, these frequencies that eventually cause us diseases and harm, and that they're invisible. We have no idea how much damage it's doing, and they will never tell us because it will affect their industry. They will tell you when they come up with a new device that they will say, we no longer need to use this. Now it's so harmful. Now you need to switch. From today, we're no longer using that technology, we're moving to digital. And they in fact did that. They switched to digital. There was a natural day that from today, we're only going to go digital. And they can do that again with a new technology and then tell you how harmful this one is. How it fries the brain and damages and affects people with schizophrenia and make them hear more voices because they use the phone too often and they're always on their PlayStation and they're always looking in front of a screen. Even as they walk down the road, they're in front of a screen. We don't sit and catch something with our own intelligence, our own kind of ability to, absorb and take in, an enjoyable moment. We use a mobile phone to catch that and watch it back later. And I'm not saying that I don't do it. I'm just saying for the greater part of human nature, we now lost the ability to absorb things in the moment. We've lost that. We've become devices ourselves that we're literally not taking anything in very, seriously because we can watch it back, we can Google it. And so we're literally going by, and in this way, mental health has become prominent. Also, the social media and these different medias, these technologies, maybe become more aware that you spend too much time on these different mediums and that they're damaging your natural ability to communicate in a human-like way. We're losing that. We're becoming more robotic and hybrid. And, unless we keep bringing it to our own attention, keep reminding ourselves and our children and have these guidelines, and they say things like safeguarding. They should have digital safeguarding. Otherwise, what's going to happen to humanity is nothing will be organic about us anymore, including the diseases. Won't be nature-given diseases. There'll be frequency, mobile, radioactive, diseases that we get from these devices that we use. Laptops on your lap for men causes all kind of problems with the prostate. Keeping two phones in your pocket, one in your left, one in your right, is sending that radiation straight across your prostate. Women used to keep it in their breasts. We saw an increase in breast cancer. So these frequencies, in low frequencies is affecting the minds of people, and we're seeing an increase in mental health. And people hearing voices, people feel they've been followed, and people feeling stalked, people, people having feeling though their own families don't love them anymore and they can't trust anyone. Miserable bipolar swing and change of mood swings. The younger generation seem to all have this ability to just have a mood swing. Parents are complaining that it's normal now. My daughter and son, they just have mood swings. Mental health is so common that in the schools they have to be making an awareness to young people to bring up if they feel they have mental health. It's epidemic. And so we need to be more aware of it for 2023, for ourselves and for our children. What else did I want to share with you? Those of you who want to make money, you need to stop saying money is the root of all evil. Because I've never seen a rich man that believes that. And so far I've seen every poor man that believes that. I see that's why he's poor, because his philosophy is that money is bad for him. Really need to lose that statement. It's not a good proverb. It's not true. I've never seen money sitting down in the bank or in my pocket or anywhere that's sitting down anywhere that's doing any bad. I've only seen money do bad when it's in the hands of someone who has a bad mind. So I'm not going to blame the money. If you're going to call a spade, call the man the evil person, call the woman the evil person, call the hand that hold the knife and made the wound, but don't blame the knife. So we need to forgive ourselves if you've been struggling with prosperity for some time and not sure why you're not seeing some significant amount of success. coming towards you like it's your bad karma. I'm telling you that this is one of the bad karma seeds that they were sowed in our consciousness. It's called money is the root of all evil, which brings me to the final point of my presentation, which is consciousness. The darkness we're feeling today in our times is a war on consciousness. It's not just a war on black man. It's not just black man genocide and this and that. That's also true, there's no doubt. But it's war on consciousness. And anyone that has consciousness like a melanated being, there'll be war against them as well. It's war on consciousness. And so we need to be aware of the war and be aware of the tools we need to have to resist this war. Now, religions have become one of the tools they use to wage war against one another. And so spiritual groups as well. They use these different groups to fight and create war. One of the biggest wars among mankind is ones within the spiritual groups. So, you know, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. I am going to raise this point, and I need you to all really listen carefully. I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm an atheist. You know, me not believe in her, why not believe in her. And, you know, I'm a Jew. Whatever your denomination, whatever your spirituality, I'm a Rasta man, you know, whatever it is. If whatever you hold as divine, you can't accommodate others, it's not divine enough. If what you have is divine, it should accommodate others without you trying to feel that yours is an elite thing, and unless people follow your vegan, plant-based diet, they're not human beings, they're not worthy anymore. That in itself shows that what you have hasn't opened your eyes to any enlightenment at all. And so I'd like to encourage all our people for this 2023 and years to come to bring yourself to accepting that you could be part of the problem. If every time you hear about a different denomination, you have something negative to say, this is what I have to say. Every single religion today, every single one of them, I welcome them. I welcome them to join hands and join the fight in the war against consciousness. You see, if there was war against black man, you draw all the black people and say, listen, there's war against us, we need to fight against and resist against. But there's war against mankind, against humanity. You got to get all of humanity to be aware, whatever your religion. I don't care what your religion is all of a sudden, because you belong to my favorite religion, which is humanity. Bring your religion along to this humanity forum and central and collective. And why? Because this is the only way that we can win the war against consciousness, because they will keep dividing and conquering. Man against woman, woman against man, you know, nation against nation, and religions against religions. So we need to give up that judgment, whatever your religion is. I completely embrace every Muslim, every Christian, every Pescatarian, every Catholic. Why? Because you also have war against your consciousness. If you're into consciousness of the Most High, consciousness which is about the love frequency, the frequency of light, then the war will be against you as well. I don't care what color you are. You are part of my nation as long as you're for light and you're for love. And so all the religions, all the spiritual paths, spiritual groups, all of them promote consciousness. All of them promote peace and love. And so why should we try to make out that our peace is more peaceful? Our love is more loving. Our consciousness is more conscious. And we're all talking the same thing. In Jamaica, we say 6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other. 6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other. And you know, you say potatoes, I say potatoes. You say tomatoes, I say tomatoes. Potatoes, potatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. And all of us get divided and none of us win in the end. And they win against consciousness. So why don't we consciously give up this judgment and prejudice against other spiritual groups? They're spiritual. We're all growing. We're at different stages. You're vegan, you're vegetarian, it's good, better, best. And so what? Everybody's on their way home. Come on, let's help everybody to get home. I want to finish with a law. It's called the law of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's a guy called Abraham Maslow, and he was born in 1908. And he died 2004, believe it or not. He lived to 94 years of age. He only died in 2004 the other day. But Maslow, you could say, they say he invented this theory called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I find it interesting that here's his hierarchy of needs, right? This is applicable to whatever religion you belong to, whatever nation or race you belong to, whether you're a man or a woman, or indeed a child or a young man growing up. So here's his hierarchy of needs. And see where I'm going with this. His hierarchy of needs forms a pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid, it's physical needs, your food, your clothes. You know, most of our people in our nation across the Caribbean and so forth, I've heard many of my brethren and brothers saying, what you saying, Doc? You know, man and man have to do certain things so that man can eat food, that we can eat food. And every little talk now you hear people saying we have to eat food, as if your main feature of life is eating food. If aliens came to planet Earth, they'd say, all these people are doing are eating food. They just have supermarkets. It's all about food on planet Earth. Everybody's just eating food. But Maslow made that at the very base of his foundation of needs, hierarchy of needs. It was a very basic one, was called physical needs, the physicalities, which is your clothes. You need a fridge, you need a cooker, you know, you need somewhere, you need shelter, you need a bed to sleep on, you need a blanket to keep you warm, etc., etc. These are the basic things. But we have been suppressed to pay most of our attention to just those things. Watch what Maslow says the next thing. Safety is the next level up. He says when a person have their clothes sorted, they have the food in the fridge, them have shoes they can wear, them have clothes on them back, and the food stay cool, and them can have all the needs, or most of the needs, they're now comfortable. Then they look at things like safety. Now we have the house and we have the things in the house. Now we need to put some security on the house. Now we need to put some burglar bar. Now we need to have, you know, all that kind of stuff. Now we need to get insurance. Now we need to go to our doctors. Now we need to go private. This is called safety, medical security, and then mind and body security for you and your children. That's the next level called safety. Okay, moving up. The next level he calls belonging. The hierarchy of needs is what we need, is not wants. We need physical things like clothes and food and shelter. We need safety. We need medical attention and medical services for our mind and body and children. We need belonging. That's the third one up. Belonging. We need to feel we belong to a family. Husband to a wife, wife to a husband, children to parents. We need to feel we have friends. We need to have purpose and social, you know, interactions. That's belonging. The next level up is esteem, which is, you know, you get respected in the society you're in by your children, by your mother, father, and so forth. Respect. The next level, and of course, self-respect. We need to have self-respect. Otherwise, all the other respect is not worth nothing. That's esteem. The last one, which is what I want to get to, the top one, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The top one, the fifth one, Maslow's hierarchy of needs for humanity. The top one is called self-actualization. Self-actualization. Now, this is going to land me where what I want to share with all of you today. Self-actualization, how would you define that? What is that? Self. What's self? We can be so deluded about what self is. I could say, this is myself. I'm me this. And I'll be so deluded. This is far from what I am. A woman could say that, you know, I'm Mrs. World, I'm me this. And she's so far from what she truly is. And if someone said, but you see, Dr. Mark, you're a father or you're a doctor, that's still far from what I truly am. And if you go deeper and deeper and deeper to what you truly are, that's called self-actualization. There's many ways to get lost in that garden, in that whole maze. So self-actualization brings you to realize that you are more than the physical presentation that God has given you, this mortal coil. You're made in his divine image. And so with that, I want to share that from the top, where the self-actualization, where you realize about your spiritual, responsibilities, not just your clothes and your food and your car and your house and mortgage, but your spiritual, responsibilities, your spiritual needs, your spiritual self-realization. When you have that at your focus, your prime focus, all the other things at the bottom find balance, find a way to fulfill you. But if you don't use that one at the top, whatever your spiritual foundation is, should be at the focus, your main focus. If you don't, then what will happen is the whole thing will shatter. And Europeans have taught us, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow may not come. You know why they say that? Because you eat, drink, and be merry, because the Most High promised that there is tomorrow, even though tomorrow is not a promise to no man, but he promised you that there's another realm where there is a tomorrow for all of you who live righteous and live upright. But they tell us, eat, drink, and be merry. Your Most High might be lying about your tomorrow. So eat, drink, get your heaven, claim your goods here and now. And that's made man become more greedy and materialistic, and he doesn't pay attention to his self-actualization or his self-realization. And so the whole hierarchy of needs will crumble. And even if he gets all the things, he will never be satisfied. We're done. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I really appreciate everything that you have taught us today. A good reminder for people who did know, and for the things that we didn't. I've got a long list of the things that I need to go and do some research on myself. So it was a really, really, really informative presentation. Thank you. Chef Kev, over to you. Any further questions, anything that you might want to wrap up on?
Let me just see if there's any questions in the group.
There were some questions that Jamie has sort of tried to answer, but you might want to pick a few of those. I know there was a couple of.
I'm seeing the ones. Thank you. I like the one. I like the...
Amazing. There were a couple of questions around vegetarianism and veganism, and obviously trying to have a keto diet. But if you're vegetarian, or if you're a vegan, what foods would you suggest? Because as you said, most of those diets tend to be quite carb heavy. So there was a couple of people who were asking about that. So I don't know if you've got any.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. I see quite a few diabetics type 2 who are vegans, and commendably, their scans and their whole thing is looking good, but their insulin levels and their blurry vision, tingling, manhood, erectile dysfunction, women, low libido, waking up, going toilet to wee-wee all the time, and itching, and can't sleep issues, and they're vegans. And that shouldn't be so. And when I investigated, confused, like, why? Your scan is clear. I found out that it was that their insulin levels were too high. And so they need to do that HbA1c test. That's what it's called, HbA1c. You can get that done free by your GP. You can come to one of my clinics and get it done by one of our phlebotomists in our labs. And that's called a HbA1c blood test, and that will tell you that you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, and then you can transform the diet that suits you. In general, for example, your question in general, if you want to just have a healthy vegan or vegetarian diet, fruits in the morning. Don't eat fruits with cooked food. Fruit should also not be eaten on you can eat it on an empty stomach, but not when you're really hungry and there's acid. It can then give you a bit of a tummy ache. Alkaline your diet. That's a good one. Dr. Sebi and myself and many other doctors, we actually promote that, because the reason for that is the food with the highest acids is meat. The next food after that is the foods that are dairy. And as you come down, you get alkaline foods. Unfortunately, carbohydrates is high in sugars, and that is almost just as bad, because the body, what it does with those sugars, it makes toxic stuff. And so alkalining your lifestyle. Look at this book. It's called Alkalize or Die. It's a heavy title, but it works. It's called Alkalize or Die by Theodore someone. It's the only book like that. Alkalize or Die. And that will give good guidance for 2023, how to eat to live. How to eat a vegetarian diet and get all the stuff in. It depends on the person, if they're skinny, if they've got endomorph, if they're mesomorph, or the ectomorph types of body. But as I said earlier, by any means, go to the gym, and do intermittent fasting. Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, meat eating, do intermittent fasting. Allow the body to do that detox and get rid of the impaction of feces that build up in the colon. Allow the body to not have anything going for a few hours or for half a day. And people who say, oh, intermittent fasting needs to be 12 hours, it's not true. I do intermittent fasting. Sometimes it's not even by choice, but intermittent fasting should be anything. You can do 4 hours, you could do 6 hours, you could do 8 hours, you could do 3 hours because that's what you got. But you're not going to eat for that important 3 hours. Like, I'm not going to eat breakfast. I'm going to have some fruits. Here's a good one. If you're diabetic type 2, there are professors now that says 1 mango can shoot your blood sugar off the Richter scale, just 1 mango. So I'm recommending that people who think they're pre-diabetic or diabetic, they should actually start to measure their blood sugar. That's the only way to know if you've done harm. The only way is to measure it. Then you know how much cornmeal porridge, how much oats porridge, how much dumpling. You know that 3 dumpling is all right, but 5 dumpling is self-harm. You know, things like that. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think we have come to the end, unless Chef Kev, you've got something else to...
No, let's try and stick to the time. We want to make sure we keep to the time. Dr. Walcott, big up yourself as always.
Thank you.
Always sharing the love. And Dr. Charles, Brother Charles, wicked. Love that talk. Hopefully we've kind of shared some different experiences with our platform, and hopefully people can learn from it. We all learn from each other, and hopefully it helps us to go into 2023 in the right frame with the right intensity to really kind of look after our health as well as our physical and mental and every aspect. So nothing but love.
Could I give out some details for my clinic, so anyone that may need some medical assistance?
We have been putting some things in the chat, but yes, if you want to repeat those things, go ahead.
Yeah. So my personal number is 079 04 890 723. That's my personal number. For making that's not the number for making appointments, because I know people are texting. That's not the number for making appointments. That's the number if you want to inquire something like, Dr. Mark, my friend or me or whoever has cancer, we're wondering it's stage 3, can you do anything? Or diabetes or thyroid or central nervous system issues or fibromyalgia or lupus, whatever, some chronic disease you want to inquire about, then you could send me a text to inquire about stuff like that. For making appointments, the number is 07958 316 750. And those of you who are aware of the Miracle Tonic, that's the number for any of my products, the Miracle Tonic and other, that would be the 07958 316 750. If you want to go get, I don't know if they're still doing PCR, or you want to see a private doctor, a GP for a second opinion for whatever condition you have, then you can also do that by going to a Medipark clinic, as in medical park. That's where we got the name for Medipark Clinic, and that's 573 Green Lanes, and that's N80 Romeo Lima. The phone number is 0208 341 3185. And you can go see a GP, a psychiatrist. Just go there, you can say that I sent you, and they should give you a discount once you use my name. If you want to come see me first and have a scan, then I refer you, do that as well. But that's me for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
can I just say, yeah, big up Chef Kev.
Respect,
You know,
brother.
great presentation there. And, you know, my bigger brother, Dr. Mark, you know, who we've met on many occasions. And one thing, whenever I come across Dr. Mark, I always learn something new. And no doubt, Dr. Mark, you and I will be catching up this week. I salute you, sir, my bigger brother. Great presentation.
100%. Thank you, sir. 100%.
Yeah, and not forgetting Jarita, who's sat in that hot seat very well tonight.
Beautiful. Respect,
I always
brother.
love a bit of flattery, I'm not gonna lie. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys more because you came with the knowledge and for all the work that you're doing in our community. So I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for sharing with us. All right, I am going to call it a day for this for the main sort of talk. We have come to the end of talk for today. However, as you know, for the hardcore ravers, we do a little bit of a music show at the end. So if you are you know, ready to leave, this is your time. You can exit. You're not going to miss too much. Just our music show. All right. So as you know, each week we do have Queen Samira, who tends to do our music at this time. Obviously, Queen Samira is not with us this week, still out of doing her own thing outside of the team. So best wishes if she is listening, and I hope to see you soon. I'm sure I saw Sir Raz Benji in the chat earlier. I don't know if you're still there, sir, but if you are, I salute you. And I hope you are feeling well and 2023 has started well for you and your family. All right, so here we go.
All right.
Yeah. Well, okay. They will make a way for us. Okay. Oh, we need it in the way from the soul. Sing it, Lucy. Yeah, something more.